Good evening. I'm Rick Walker with Maverick Multimedia and Maverick News. This is ongoing coverage of Freedom Convoy 2022, cruising to the capital. Tonight with coverage from not just Ottawa, the nation's capital, but other points around Canada, including very important border crossings. And I'm here with my co-host tonight,
Brenden Kennedy, the host of the Flow of Discourse podcast. It's great to be here again with you tonight, Rick. How are you?
I'm just fine. Your audio sounds like it's a little bit low, Brenden. Maybe I'll adjust
Bring the
my
mic closer.
audio.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's a bit better.
Okay.
So all kinds of stuff going on. We're seeing this freedom protest, this freedom movement spread across the country. We've been watching that happen, but now it's spreading even further, and the impact is being felt. We're seeing it spread to border crossings. We've already seen it in Windsor, and we're seeing it at other places across the country as well. You were at a border crossing today. Why don't you bring our viewers up to date on where this other points are across Canada, and then let's talk about what you saw when you were out in the field today.
Okay, perfect. So first off, we've had off and on blockades at the Windsor border at the Ambassador Bridge, which has blocked off all commercial transportation from crossing that bridge. We are seeing delays at automotive factories and stuff like that happening across Ontario. So there's a little bit of that going on. That is now, I believe, on day 4 or 3 at this point. On Sunday last, there was a direct blocking of the Sarnia Blue Water Bridge on Sunday last, but the same organizers who have done that, who were ultimately kicked off of that section of road, have created a new blockade on the 402 highway, which is about 50 kilometers east of that border crossing. So kind of just before we get into things too deeply on that, it is not necessarily a border blockade, but I guess you could call it's a disruptor. So trucks have to go out of their way down different roads to get to the border crossing at the Blue Water Bridge going into Port Huron, Michigan. So there's about a 15-20 minute delay by not being able to use the Highway 402. Speaking with some of the protesters that were there today, they are not interested in moving. I do have some footage of that, but we also have a blockade happening at the Manitoba border as well, going into the United States there. So there's lots of things happening. More things are popping up as this progresses. So it's growing day by day. It's not something that's just.
And so that protest in Alberta at the Alberta-Montana border, that's ongoing as well. They have not been successful. Police have not been successful in clearing that out. It just seems to keep on growing.
And it's my understanding that they were going to tear that down when Jason Kenney said that they was going to knock down the vaccine passport. However, once they realized his time frame that he has for doing that, they just stayed put and set back up. They're not moving.
And the Ambassador Bridge blockade in Windsor, it seems like they've fortified things there, and that's having a major impact on manufacturing, especially in Ontario, and that is sending a clear message to the government as well. So we'll have a lot more on that because we do have special guest Victor Green joining us, and he'll be on in a little while, and he is down at the Ambassador Bridge tonight, and I think he's going to be joining us live. That's the plan anyway. So he'll have footage and commentary, and he'll let us know exactly what's going on down there at the Ambassador Bridge. So we appreciate him helping us out tonight and sharing his thoughts and his insights. But you were on the highway that leads to the Sarnia U.S. border, right? To
Yes.
the Blue Water Bridge. Let's find out what you saw there, and let's hear all about it. What's happening?
Okay, I'm just going to share my screen here. We'll just roll my footage here. It does not require audio. A lot of it was shot from the car and it was very windy. So it's not nothing too impressive, but it'll give everybody a very clear picture of kind of what's happening. All right, so we can see my screen.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the 402 going eastbound, and so you can see the westbound lane, no traffic at all. It's entirely blocked off at this section of highway.
So you're heading toward the blockade.
Exactly.
And there's nothing coming toward you.
Yes.
What did that say? I couldn't see that.
The sign says, "Let kids be kids."
Okay.
So this is the section. So if you look over to the left of the field is more or less where everything was. So I'm just gonna
what do you mean
up.
everything was in the stuff's in the field?
So this field here. So their plan at this point is they're going to line all of this up here with tractors on the right-hand side of the road. And then on the left-hand side of the road is where they have an encampment there. And is where they're staying they're going to stay put there until all the mandates are dropped.
So they're setting up a camp in the field is what you're saying.
They're setting up a camp right behind this area. So this is a Highway 402 where it's blocked off. They have only blocked off one lane.
Are those police cars or just citizens' cars?
Those are police cars.
Okay.
They have it blocked up here. They have it blocked on the ramp.
Who's got it blocked? The police or the protesters?
The police do. The police are blocking all of this. They left one lane open, but the police went in there and just blocked all the lanes.
So the traffic can't get through because police have blocked the traffic.
Yes.
So it isn't like they have a bunch of trucks or tractors on the highway.
Well, you'll see that in 1 second here. So this is the scope of kind of all the tractors. There's about 12 to 15 vehicles that are parked blocking one lane of this highway.
I see. Okay. So they've just parked these. I got you. Now I see what's going on.
Yes.
Yeah, we just needed some perspective here, and I get it. So which direction is this heading? This is heading towards Sarnia, this lane?
Towards the Blue Water Bridge.
Okay. And how close to Sarnia is this?
It's about 50 kilometers away.
Okay. And are there other on-ramps or other ways for people to get around that?
Yes, exactly. So that leads to my question about how effective this blockade will be. Because it only is an extra 10 or 15 minutes for trucks to go around it.
So they're blocking the highway, not the border.
Exactly. But
and what? Sorry, go ahead.
The news is blowing, I think, this out of proportion quite a bit. And with the real information on the ground, like I said before, this isn't the farmers blocking the highway. This is the police blocking the highway.
Well, the protesters are blocking it as well because they're stopped on the highway, which makes it a hazard if people try to use the highway, because even if one lane is open, police would be concerned about safety, or maybe they're only whatever they're doing. They've got their vehicles parked on the side of the highway leading to Sarnia.
That's exactly it.
And so the police have just parked their cruisers in front of it all to make sure that nobody drives down there and gets into an accident.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Okay. And now, so the lead representative, I was not able to speak with them. They were not there when I was there. But everybody that was there were super friendly people, super friendly individuals. Everybody was in very high spirits. One of the questions I had asked many of the people are, so what kind of led you to do this? And a lot of them said that we were all very quiet until we saw the trucker movement and the trucker convoys rolling across Canada. And they had wanted to more or less help participate because they feel like everything that all these mandates that the government has brought on the Canadian people are more harmful than good. And they feel like they don't have a voice. A lot of them have children and grandchildren, and they're quite upset with a lot of the harms that the kids have been going through with lockdowns. And so they're just quite sick of it. That's kind of where they decided to step in and kind of do this. They're prepared to stay there for a long time. They have outdoor washroom facilities, camping facilities, and all kinds of other stuff there. So, which is pretty well known. I mean, they are inviting people if they wish to go out there to support, that they can do that. It's not my recommendation to do any of it. It's entirely at your own discretion. Just merely what the facts are. I had found out on the car ride there that the mayor of Sarnia, Ontario, Mayor Mike Bradley, had declared that this blockade here was a form of economic terrorism, and he condemns it deeply. One of the things I was kind of able to do to kind of break the ice with a lot of the people there was to ask them how it felt to be declared terrorists by the mayor of Sarnia, Ontario, which, I mean, a lot of these guys are just hardworking farmers. Like they're as blue collar as it gets. A lot of them are pretty quiet individuals.
So Mike Bradley, the mayor of Sarnia, is calling these people terrorists. Terrorists.
Yes.
It's a strong word. It's a very strong word.
Very disappointing, really. It's very inflammatory. Just like I said, speaking with everybody there, these are all people who are worried about their children and their grandchildren, and it's just nothing like nobody there was violent, rude, or anything else for that matter. They just want their lives back.
So if politicians like Mike Bradley are labeling these Canadians as terrorists, the potential penalty for being a terrorist is very high. So these liberal politicians like Mike Bradley are really laying a foundation, a framework, a legal framework for charges to be laid that could result in very serious penalties.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they're trying to set this up in a way that they're going to be able to really go after the people that they don't like. That's really what this is about.
That's exactly kind of what it is all about.
Yeah, definitely.
Sorry, Carla just messaged me. She'll be jumping on in a little bit from the streets.
Okay, Carla
Ottawa.
Olson is our eyes and ears on the ground in Ottawa. She will be joining us as well. She's been coming in most nights, giving us a recap of what she sees on the ground in Ottawa, which is really the front line of this battle, this war for freedom, a new kind of warfare that is being fought by the people in a peaceful way, and by the government in a way where they're militarizing police services and taking a very militaristic kind of approach in Ottawa toward a lot of this. But it's not that simple for them, because it's pretty clear that even though some politicians are labeling these Canadians as domestic terrorists, the people it seems to be, to me, the people are backing up the demonstrators, the protesters, who, by every measure that I've seen, are really just desperate Canadians fighting for their freedom, fighting to get their rights back. Well, politicians who continue to feed at the public trough and have been abusing Canadians for over 2 years now, sit in their glass offices and spew hate and divisive rhetoric. That's what I see, man. That's what I'm seeing. What do you think, Brenden?
Well, I spent probably over a good hour talking to different people there on the ground, and I think it's an absolute shame to call these people who put our food on our plates and deliver food across the world terrorists. To dismiss their claims in such a way is absolutely abhorrent. And the one article I had read, Mayor Mike Bradley had pointed out that people protest COVID-19 in the city of Sarnia, the mandates anyway, at least twice a week. And he said, oh, well, that's their right to do that. But these people who have been protesting a long time now have these new allies, and they're tired of not having their voices heard. So you could do all these protests all you want, but it's not going to matter if your voice is not being heard. That's what makes this come to a boiling point like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's really, I think, what we're truly seeing here. This is Jeremy McKenzie. He's a YouTuber, veteran. He's been down at Camp Coventry, and he has a message for our politicians that I came across today, and I'd like to share with you what he has to say. Let me just get this queued up properly here for you. Listen to what he's saying. You know, he's saying that really it's over. The battle has already been won. The politicians just haven't figured that out yet. And this is the kind of message that we're hearing from people down there, even though police have decided that their goal is to shut down the protest, and they've been taking a very militaristic approach to this, and they're bringing in thousands of reinforcements from across Ontario, preparing to shut down this Camp Coventry, where it's a staging area and a place where a lot of truckers have been staying outside of the downtown. Anyway, let's just listen to what Jeremy has to say.
You know, I had a conversation with an old Army buddy of mine today. You know, we talked about this is like when mom and dad say it's time for bed. You know, you can kick, you can scream, do whatever you want, but one way or another, it's bedtime. You're going in that bed, whether you like it or not. And that's what this is. Sorry, government, it's over. Everybody in that building, you're all guilty. You're all a bunch of malignant narcissists backed into a corner. They've all condemned the whole demonstration, the Conservative Party, the NDP, the Liberals, all of them. You know why? Because they know they're guilty, and they know they're going to be held to account for what they've done, and they will be. They absolutely will be. They're so desperate. They're so desperate. They're talking about helicopters. Well, maybe we could get a helicopter to take them out of here. Helicopters? What are you going to use the 4 Chinooks we might have in the entire Canadian Forces and airlift semi-trucks out of the city? Like what, 3-4 at a time? It would take you a month. Are you drunk? Are you actually drunk? I think they might be. A lot of stressful times people tend to drink. Police are coming, they're not coming. They're coming, they're not coming. The police don't want to be doing this. You go down there and you see them all the time. They're looking at their feet. They feel disgusting. You're down there telling them the whole world is a bunch of terrorists and insurrectionists and all this kind of stuff. And they go down there, you know what they see? They see good working, good hardworking Canadian people just trying to, stand up for themselves, supporting each other. And it's the most beautiful thing I've seen in this country's history. This is a national moment we're having right now, right? And you're going to do what? You're going to ask them to go in there in what, tear gas women and children and families? And are you suicidally drunk? How much are you drinking right now? It's over. Take the loss. There's no way out of this for you. There's no way, and it spreads every day. Every day, every week that this goes on, more and more people see what's going on. There's thousands of cell phone cameras down there. People are driving down, they're seeing it for themselves, and they're leaving with an entirely different impression than the one they came in with. And it's that you, the state, the media, are lying because you are, and it's obvious, it's on full display for the entire world. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. What are you going to do? You're going to break into these trucks and move them one at a time? What are you doing? What are you going to do? What's your plan? You don't have one. And there's clearly a lot of confusion and dissension inside the police as well. They don't want to be doing this. And in fact, they don't know how to do it. None of the towing truck companies will help them. You're talking about helicopters now? Listen, government, it's time to go home. You're drunk. This ends, we all know how this is going to end. You can either just admit defeat or drag this out and make yourselves look even more ridiculous day after day, week after week. Just keep digging that hole, boys. Just keep digging it. More and more people are coming. There's even more people here than there's been in the previous two. And this weekend, there's going to be even more people than the last two. And you know what more people means? It means more eyeballs. It means more stories. It means more video. It means more talking. It means more minds being changed. It's done. It's done. So if you want to be a malignant narcissist and get back into a corner and kick and scream and flail while daddy comes to pick you up and carry you up the stairs, you do that if you want. You kick and scream the whole way home. But, you know, you had a good run. But it's bedtime now.
Time for
Yeah, sorry, Mike Bradley. You know, Mike, I know Mike Bradley.
Yeah.
I don't know him real well. I've met him many times. He's been the mayor of Sarnia forever and a day. But Mike, trust me, man, you're on the wrong side of this. You are on the wrong side of this. You need to be on the side of the people, not on the side of a corrupt, morally bankrupt government that has been abusing people for over 2 years. Well, longer, really. You need to be on the side of the people, not on the side of a government that has bought and paid for media propaganda, smearing a huge portion of the population, or trying to, as a bunch of racist, bigoted terrorists. What the hell are you talking about, man? Seriously. Mike, come on. Come on.
think
Be the guy that I know you are. Don't throw in with this. Come on.
I don't know. There was a committee at the Sarnia Town Council a year or 2 years ago. They found that he is actually kind of a mean boss, and so they had to take his pay away for a couple of months. So something tells me that this is just indicative of his former behavior, and at some point he's going to need to apologize for this inflammatory talk and treating the hardworking people who put our food on the table in this manner is absolutely atrocious. But this guy has some points here. Let's point some of those out. The government doesn't really know what to do. And every time they say, we're going to bring all three layers of government to work on this, that doesn't exactly help them in a whole lot. Because everything that government touches kind of just turns to shit. Pardon my French. But what I mean is that the more layers of government they throw at this, the more incompetent they become. What the politicians and the police chief of Ottawa would like to do is round up everybody and kettle them and douse them in tear gas. But they can't do that because there's women and children there, there's journalists there, there's observers there, there's all kinds of walks of life. There's even civilians that are there. They don't have an answer. Otherwise, they would have done it by now. I predicted that this was probably going to be over by Wednesday, but they're very cautious because they know if one person gets hurt or killed by the police, it's not going to be good. And this whole thing will fall apart quicker than you can do a quick thing.
Yeah, well, that's for sure. I mean, they're really struggling with this. It's more or less falling apart on them now. It is. I think that the assessment that it is over is quite right. Look at this. Look at this. This is a movement that started organically. This is what's going on in downtown Ottawa right now. How many days have they been there now? What, 13 14 days?
Yeah.
And it has spread now to border crossings. All of this, and they've thrown everything they can at these folks. They've tried to smear them with insults, accusations of being white supremacists, domestic terrorists, racists. There have been stories that have been clearly fabricated, completely made up. They've cranked up the the propaganda machine. They've threatened to bring in cops. They've tried to confiscate their fuel. They've made it illegal. They passed laws, made stuff up to make it illegal to bring food to the truckers. They've arrested people for bringing in food from, like, where are you going with that food that you bought at the subway? I was taking it to my buddy Joe in the truck down there. Oh, that's it. Off to the slammer with you. Like, please. And they've brought in reinforcements from other police services. They've got their tactical teams there, snipers, body armor. The truckers went down, set up bouncy castles for the kids, turned it into a freedom festival. They've been shoveling the sidewalks, salting them to keep everything safe for everybody, cleaning up all the garbage. They've got garbage pickup. They've set up even their own little social safety nets. They've got an adopt a trucker program to make sure that the truckers don't freeze to death at night. So a lot of the local people are putting them up in their homes, feeding them, giving them places to stay and shower and sleep so that they can remain rested and safe. They threatened to bring in children's aid to take the kids away from any parents that go down there, which is absolutely ludicrous. Are you insane? Can you imagine the video of that going worldwide? The government going down there, snatching kids away from parents. Cops going down there in full body armor, chasing moms and dads and snatching their kids away. Maybe not even knowing who the hell it is. Maybe it's just, Mary Jo and John Smith with their kids down there. In their local Ottawa residents who have nothing to do with it. Who knows, man? This is insane. And why are these guys really there? They're truckers, they're farmers, they're people from all walks of life, every religion, from countries far and wide. People are tuning in worldwide. This has inspired other protests and convoys in other countries. These are just ordinary Canadians who are not normal. They're not regular protesters. This isn't like, some political organization.
No.
Or some terrorist, international terrorist group mastermind behind it all down there trying to overthrow the government. These people just want their freedom back. That's what's going on, and it has spread. That's why it has spread so much. Can't you figure that out? The people are fed up.
It's not like they're asking for $10 million in a helicopter right out of there.
Right. They're saying, just restore the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, put Canada back the way it's supposed to be, and we're out of here. That's what this is. This is a freedom movement. That's why politicians like Mike Bradley need to re-examine what the hell they're saying. So even these border shutdowns, these people are desperate. They don't have any other way for their voice to be heard because these politicians are freaking tone deaf. And all this reaction from government, why? This is for our health? This is to keep people healthy? That's what this was supposed to be about, wasn't it? This was supposed to be about COVID, right? COVID. We're supposed to lock everything down. Everybody's supposed to be social distance. Put on 1, 2, 5, 7, 3 masks, whatever. Get your shot. And anybody that dissents, oh, well, I guess, this is what this is about. This is for your health, folks. How bizarre and twisted and distorted has all this become? You don't even hear them talking about, well, it's a super spreader event. We need to get all this locked down because otherwise Granny's going to die because they're spreading the virus. They don't even talk about that because that narrative is completely fallen apart. This is insane.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how they just dropped that narrative. Like, it's just gone now. When's the
It's
last...
Right. This isn't Brenden. Do
The
you
only
agree
time
with this?
the only time people even say super spreader anymore is when they're making fun of stupid things. Like I remember seeing Justin Trudeau campaign ads and stuff like that, and I would always comment on them. Looks like a super spreader event.
Yeah. Yeah. Just,
It's all a joke.
it is. It is a joke. And it is on full display for the world to see. Our politicians look like fools, and they look like bullies, because honestly, that's what they are. They're elitist snobs who have been abusing the Canadian people for over 2 years, and this is how people are responding. And it's amazing because Canadians are generally pretty calm, pretty docile. They'll put up with a lot. But this is what you're getting now. Is it really any surprise? Really?
No,
And
no, it's not, because it's like I said, when Mike Bradley pointed out, there's been 2 COVID protests every week since pretty much the pandemic has started in Canada. Nobody's speaking for them. And all of a sudden, we have people speaking for us. Is it helping? A little bit. But it's too much. It's too little, too late at this point. And so this is why people haven't backed out yet. Even though we've seen some results, this is why they're still there. Because, Go ahead.
And Jeremy was right on the money, I think, in his little soliloquy that he shared with the world and with us just a few minutes ago. They don't know what to do. They're basically defeated. And you know why? Because it's the people speaking. Their power comes from the people, and these are the people. These are not terrorists. These are ordinary, everyday Canadians. These are the people. These are your next door neighbors, your friends, maybe your family members down here. And we're seeing people from all walks of life, every ethnicity, every skin color. These are everyday, regular Canadians.
Yeah.
And it just keeps on growing because here's the deal, man. The people are supporting this, not the politicians. The people are not, the politicians have lost the support of the people. That means they don't have the power anymore. They just don't. You can see it.
Yeah.
And you can call them terrorists if you want, and you can get your cops to go on down there and bust heads or slap on the cuffs or do whatever it is you think they need to do. But the harder you squeeze, the more you're going to lose your grip. And they've lost it, man. They've lost their grip. And yet this has been completely peaceful in spite of all the propaganda and the BS that the mainstream media has been feeding people. This has been completely peaceful.
That's the thing, right? So I'm going to use a drastic example here, and by no means am I comparing our situation to something like North Korea, but what I would say is even in the most tyrannical state in the world, North Korea, people get together in houses, shutter all the curtains, and watch South Korean TV and movies that people smuggle in
see there? You see
on
there?
little USBs.
What's that guy doing right there? What's he doing? He's shoveling snow.
Yeah.
That's not a city worker. That's somebody down there. He's part of this whole convoy protest, and that's what they've been doing. They've been cleaning up the streets. The city hasn't been clearing these sidewalks. The protesters have been doing it, folks.
Yeah. And, just getting to my point there is that you could try and stamp out freedom, but it's not that easy. Even looking at the most tyrannical state in the world, they still can't contain what people actually want.
And the people want their freedom. That's it. But Justin Trudeau has let this drag on so long that I stand by my prediction made last night that this will not only, that these truckers and farmers and protesters of all kinds, they're not just going to get the mandates lifted.
Yeah.
They're going to get the other thing they want. They're going to get Justin Trudeau's. They're going to get him to. Justin Trudeau's going to have to step down. He's going to be gone. Gonzo. This is going to cost him his job as PM and leader of the Liberal Party. You mark my words. The cracks in his support, even within his own party, are already beginning to show, with now 2 of his MPs breaking ranks. And sorry, go ahead, Brenden.
Speaking of predictions, I'm out of them. I predicted this would have been over by yesterday. I'm out of predictions. We are in uncharted waters here. I don't know. I just don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, nobody knows for sure what's going to happen, but I think the writing is on the wall. I think this thing is, even if the cops and the municipality and the federal government and Justin Trudeau find a way to get all these trucks out of here and arrest all these people and label them terrorists. And there's the Porta-Johns. Okay, all the rumors that you've been hearing about defecation in the street and blah, 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 blah. We've been showing you from the beginning raw footage down there and not one shred of evidence of any of that. It's all a big lie. But even if they get these trucks out of here, my point is you're seeing the freedom movement spread to border points now, to other large cities. Even in small towns, smaller convoys are forming, even on weekends, where people are just getting together to drive around with flags on their cars to show their Canadian pride and show their support for this freedom movement. It's happening right across Canada. So they could shut this down, yank all these trucks out of here, throw every one of these people, every one of the people that's there in jail, and they still won't stop it. You can't stop it now. You can't. Freedom is finding a way. Freedom. And I don't know how freedom became a dirty word, but it seems like the anti-freedom movement is afraid of freedom. It's weird. It's like, and then they're saying, well, Justin Trudeau stands there and says, tells you that the best way to get your freedom back is to give up your freedom.
I saw some liberal media commentary today that said something along the lines of freedom is a term used by the alt-right and people who are of the MAGA persuasion. But meanwhile, we have our legal documents which guarantees our rights, the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, the Bill of Rights, and all this other crap. It just makes no sense for them to say, this is freedom, but it's only an alt-right term and you're not allowed to use it. And if you look at it, me and you wouldn't even be in this position if the government hasn't been so heavily involved in our lives in the past 2 years. We would not be, we probably wouldn't even know each other. That's the reality of this.
6:40 p.m. Wednesday
They've
night.
tried it on us. They took a sore nerve and they jumped on it. And then they kept jumping on it. And now the people are sick. This is Justin Trudeau's mess. This is the premiers of our country's mess.
Well, the other thing it's comical, right? It's like now the politicians, these left-wing politicians, are whining and complaining because the supply chain is going to be broken and it's going to result in more inflation and the economy is suffering. They didn't care at all about the economy when they shut everything down, locked everybody in their houses, and put everybody under house arrest. They didn't care about that. And they made sure that the money kept flowing to their big corporate friends.
Yeah.
The people that they owe favors to because they finance their campaigns. But they didn't give a damn about the small businesses or the supply chain then, where, shortages of things that began to, manifest in stores when the lockdowns were at their height, they didn't give a damn about the economy. In fact,
No.
it looked to me like they were going out of their way to destroy the damn economy. They've been doing that for over 2 years. Justin Trudeau has been spending us into oblivion ever since he took office. Doesn't seem to care about our debt. And it's us that he's putting into debt, and our children and our grandchildren. Going on a spending spree, handing out hundreds of millions of dollars to all of his elitist friends all over the globe, sending money to this country, that country, this friend, that friend.
$36 million on Lululemon Olympic winter mittens.
There's Carla.
Hey,
Hey guys, so glad to see you again.
you too. Welcome back.
I'm glad to be back. I'm looking forward to you guys catching me up on what's going on in politics today. I hear there's been some flip-flopping going on.
Well, all kinds of stuff going on at the border points, and the freedom movement spreading across Canada. Still, it's now in Manitoba, right, Brenden?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Now in Manitoba, we have a border blockade at the Manitoba border. There is some things that happened in politics today. However, I spent a large chunk of my day at the Highway 402 farmer blockade. So
we have been focused very much on, what's been going on at the border points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are big things, guys.
What are you hearing down there? Because, we were, I know that there was a lot of speculation that the Camp Coventry thing was going to be broken up. The cops are going to sweep in. It looked like maybe they were going to make their big move last night with all their, flex their muscle and the JT and the mayor and of Ottawa and General Slawley. Police Chief Slawley was going to whip out his soldiers and show us what a big man he was and send all his dudes down there with their guns and tear gas and all that stuff. And it was like showdown at the Parliament Corral. But it doesn't look like any of that went down.
No, today was just another day of exactly the same thing. New people coming in, new people being in awe of the level of freedom we have here, the love, the generosity. Everything's just the same. That movement has been exactly the same. Today is not, today's been good. So nothing, I don't want to say uneventful, because every moment is eventful here, but nothing with regards to the police. Yes, there's an influx of police officers that I've seen throughout the day, but of course we are approaching the weekend, so that's perfectly normal, right? That's what we've been seeing. But I have been getting messages that apparently there is some lives or TikToks or something out there saying that the RCMP and the OPP are tearing down tents and making their moves. So I'm pretty excited to get back up here.
Yeah. Hard to keep tabs on everything going on, like in all the points around the city.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
And that's where the cops, if they're doing anything at all, that's kind of where they're focused right now, right?
Right. So as you know, I can't flip my camera when I'm on this platform.
Yep.
So what I am going to do is I'm going to turn the camera, and Rick, I'm relying on you to send me nice, gentle reminders to move my camera. All right? Because I'm not pro. All right. So
I beg to differ. I think you're very pro.
Can you see that?
Totally pro. Yes, I can.
That is the Durham Police. They've been here today. Another gathering of the Durham Police over there. So I'm at the corner of Bank and Wellington Street. Let's take a walk. More people. I was down on the side streets when all this was going on. So when I was getting these messages, I was checking out a whole new section down the end of Kent Street. They're just miles of trucks. I think I went 15 blocks down there.
So are there more people, fewer people? Looks like the crowd's growing.
It is growing because it's the weekend, right? So
Yep.
that's when we see it. Okay, so here's a tent. Everything looks normal here. They said they were taking these rumors were that they were taking the barbecues, they were taking the tents down, warning the truckers to get into their trucks, to lock their doors. I don't know. What do you think, guys?
Well, last night I did see, and I did confirm that police did go to Camp Coventry. 2 officers, at least 2, there might have been more there, but the 2 of them spoke to the truckers. And they
Okay.
did lay it on the line. They said that they were there to deliver a message. It's like, here, deliver this message to the truckers. So down they went, and they told the truckers that they were being told to pack up their stuff and be prepared to leave. And if they were being given a choice, they could leave,
Yeah.
right? Or the other option was stay and tell them that they had no intention of leaving, and they would be arrested.
Okay. Well,
So that was the choice.
well, then a whole lot of people are going to see a whole lot of things and possibly get arrested with them, because my hotel is filling up. People are moving into the town, like moving, back in,
Yep.
on their weekend vacation. So I don't know, like this is way more people than were here even at 4:00. This is the last time I was on Wellington.
So I know that the people sort of, it's not that it's really, there is some organization. So these sort of organizers or leaders or however you want to categorize them or describe them. But an appeal went out asking for people to come to Ottawa. And it
Right.
looks like people are responding, right?
They sure are. They sure are, because, the theory is that if there's more of us than them, we can still hold on, right? We can still hold the line. And
Yeah.
that's the theme, hold the line.
Yes.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Look at this. Oh, so we don't have bouncing castles, but we sure have bouncing babies. Good luck with that, please.
Yeah, can you
Good luck with
pan up, just tilt the camera up. There we go.
There you go.
Oh, you didn't want to
Thank
look
you.
at that dirt bank?
Oh yeah, we could look at the dirt bank. Let's do that. So for
What is-
those,
sorry, let's show me that, Carla. Can you? Just the kids there. What is that?
Well, it's like looks like a little Connect 4 game over there. And then those are like little kind of ginormous Lego puzzle / pieces where they can build things with it. So they've been building, little forts and stuff.
So this is what the cops are being told to go down and bust up, right?
Yeah.
This.
Yeah, right here.
This is what they're describing as an insurrection.
Absolutely. This is frightening. I'm telling you. I'm terrified. Does that little face terrify you guys?
yep, absolutely.
She's so cute. Hi. Oh. Yeah, terrifying.
Carla, you had asked what was going on in Parliament today. I think this is actually worth noting. So the House of Commons, which is basically where all of our members of Parliament get together and decide laws, etc. So they had a debate regarding the lifting of federal COVID-19 mandates and restrictions, and that has been deferred for a vote for tomorrow. So it looks like they're going to vote on that tomorrow. It looks like the very small party, the Bloc de Québécois, may work with the Conservative Party in voting to knock down these mandates.
Oh.
So
Well, what's the story on Candace Bergen?
I'm not sure. She probably made a speech when they were doing the debates.
I heard that she kind of flip-flopped and she wasn't. She denied being for the truckers or something like that. I haven't had a chance to read any articles.
Oh, I think the Conservatives are starting to save for the truckers to go home.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I
they're not going home until we
Don't-
get something happening here.
Don't quote me on that, however, because I am not all the way filled in.
Well,
I
that's
spent-
what the headline said, right?
Yeah.
So, but I didn't get to read it, and I don't
Yeah, she is-
generally like to judge until I've read the article, right? Not just the headline. I'm not a headline reader.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is. She has said she wants them to take down the barricades.
Oh,
And she said she wanted to speak directly to Canadians who are demonstrating in Ottawa and across the country. She said, "Your protests began with truckers and you have grown into an international phenomenon. To all of you who are taking part in the protests," she said, "I believe the time has come to take down the barricades, stop the disruptive action, and come together. The economy you want to see reopened is hurting. Boo-hoo! I believe this is not what you want to do." Yeah, that's why she probably shouldn't be the leader of the party, and she still doesn't get it. And that's
Yeah.
why
I
you
didn't
can't
trust it.
you can't trust these conservatives because they're just a different shade of red. these days.
That's right. If they wanted to be opposition, they've had 2 years to be opposition. Why now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Complete BS.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, what can I say? I've got her media release.
Something cool I wanted to highlight. So remember last night we talked about Fox News being here, and they came right down on the ground, right at the corner of Metcalfe and Wellington, right among the people. Unlike the other mainstream media who like to hide in the Parliament buildings behind the fences, they've been here all day reporting.
Yep.
Fox News?
Yes, and Fox
That's
News
awesome.
is doing us some justice too.
Actually,
They
I
did
have
us.
I have queued up the footage of everybody surrounding them.
Yeah,
So
people.
with that you took footage. There was a Fox News reporter on the ground. She was surrounded by all the different people, and it's really quite something to see. Maybe we'll show it later if we have time. But wow, what a contrast! Because CTV and CBC go down there, and people just say, "You guys got to get out of here!" Like they absolutely hate what they do and what they've done.
Exactly.
You know what? You know, in Edmonton, I saw today that
It's gonna get loud,
CTV.
guys, but
Okay.
you gotta experience this for a second. I'll go through it quick.
Sure. CTV in Edmonton is removing the decals from their news vehicles and station vehicles because they're afraid they might get attacked when they go out in public now. Why do you think that is? Can you pan up just a little bit, Carla? Just tilt up more. There we go. That's good headroom. Good, thanks.
Well, I think that is because they've lied to people for over 2 years, and they have a very stringent bias.
Yep.
And the only way that you can kind of get a more balanced news media is by going to alternative sources that really have very small platforms.
Well, it's really unfortunate. You know, I worked for CTV for over 25 years, and there was a time when I was proud to say that I worked for them. But today, I see what they're doing, and it's sad. So sad that they're now afraid to go out in public and fly the CTV flag to show that they're with CTV on their vehicles because they're afraid they might get attacked. Well, maybe they need to reevaluate why that is.
Well,
It's because the people, they've lost the trust of the public. And I don't think they would be attacked. I think they're just paranoid, honestly. It's like a self-fueling fear. It's irrational.
I think that, well, that's the funny thing about Carla's footage from yesterday is it showed, so 15, 20 years ago, Fox News was kind of like a fringe, right? So people didn't have the same appreciation for Fox News back then as they do now. But when Fox News was there and Carla was filming them, everybody loved the reporter and everybody wanted to be in the shot. I believe Carla had said that she was hugging people after and all that other stuff.
Yeah. Answering questions, telling us that she couldn't believe how peaceful this was and what a party it was, how much I heard her say, you guys are just being so patriotic, loving Canada. It's great to see that.
That's right. What you're seeing down here tonight, what Carla is showing you this is Canada.
Can you see that?
Yes. Look at those signs. Look at everything, man. It's like the media would have you believe that they're all down there waving swastikas. But it's just the opposite. It's the absolute opposite. Look at the signs of love for country, love for fellow Canadians. That's what we're seeing down there, and it's a Canadian Freedom Fest. Look at the people draped in the Canadian flag. The people love their country. They love Canada, and they're showing love to each other. That's something the federal government, all levels of government, all of our politicians, they've lost sight of all of that. This is Canada. The people sitting in Parliament are not representing the country anymore. The media, a mouthpiece for the politicians. If we're fake news, Lori, then this video lies. This is raw footage right from the scene tonight. What can I tell you? This is unedited, uncensored, live, raw footage. Show us a swastika, Carla. Go find one, please.
You know something, Rick? I've been here since the very beginning. I came with the convoy. I've been doing exactly what I'm doing right now. I've been just videotaping this and doing lives, talking to people for 12 days. Not once have I seen a swastika. And believe you me, I'm looking for that. I'm looking for anything.
Yeah. And
wait, isn't that one there?
I want to believe that the media has some integrity. I do. I truly do. So of course I'm going to look for that stuff.
Well, I'd like to see I'd like to find out who the guy was who was waving that one single Nazi flag, photographed by Justin Trudeau's personal photographer, by the way. I'd like to know who the guy is, because I'd like to hold him accountable. And I'm pretty sure if we find him, we're gonna find out he's in no way connected to the truckers, but I bet you he's connected to some other people that would be of note, maybe on the other side.
Yeah, well, I can tell you, I wouldn't be shocked.
No, me either. No, not at all. It's just so blatantly obvious what they were doing.
And just a reminder to everybody out there, and so because I really want to know who Nazi Flag Man is, if you have any tips or any clues as to who Nazi Flag Man is, you can reach out to Candace Malcolm with True North News for a reward of $6,500. I am not affiliated with this news or agency. However, I support what they're investigating and finding out the identity of this person, because I suspect, Rick Walker suspects, and probably Carla Olson suspects, Nazi Flag Man is a government shill who's been planted to do that.
Right. Do you guys see that pink sign there? Perhaps that's the Nazi flag. I mean, that's the anger I'm seeing here. Love you.
Yeah, love you. Yeah.
That one quote there, if you go back, it said, "Freedom."
Where am I at?
Is the yellow one to the freedom is always extremist.
For cowards, freedom is always extremist.
Yes, that is so true.
Well, yeah, it's unique. You know, not many countries have freedom, and that's why Canadians are so grateful to have it, and why they're fighting so hard to get it back.
Also,
because Go ahead, Carla. It's okay.
I just want to point out that flag. Please, free Ottawa. Please leave. We want peace. The honking hurts our ears. But you see the bottom there? But freedom is coming, so it's okay. So if we were terrible people, we wouldn't give these counter protesters a word. We certainly wouldn't put them on our wall.
Right.
We would leave it there, right?
Yeah. And it is true that the people down there are making a sacrifice. They have been dealing with the horns and the noise and the crowds. But you know what? It's the nation's capital. Protests happen there because it is Parliament. That's where people have to go to demonstrate. And this is unprecedented, but so too have these lockdowns been unprecedented. These mandates, these health measures that have turned into dictates, and the people feeling powerless over the past 2 years are now expressing themselves, and what they're doing is they're sending a clear message to government. This is over. It is over. Whether they realize it or not, it's done.
Yeah.
So they need to get on the right page, all these politicians. But they are, you have to wonder why they're trying to hold on so tight. Why is Justin Trudeau trying to hold on so tight? When we see the mandates being canceled, taken away in other countries, other jurisdictions, even provinces in Canada, Alberta, Saskatchewan. The mandates are coming off. Even today, just a day after Ontario's, was it the health minister, Brenden, I think, who said that the masking, the vaccine passports, all of that would remain in place for the foreseeable future, no plan to get rid of it. And now today,
Yes.
the very next day, Doug Ford comes out and says that he's now looking at stepping up the process of, ending some of this.
Well, here's the thing about that, okay? So Doug Ford made statements like 2-3 days ago stating that he's tired of all these, well, he didn't say this quote unquote, so this is just a sum up, but he basically said, all you yahoos, stop blocking the border, etc., etc. But yeah, came out today.
And
Doug Ford's considering speeding up.
Right. Victor Green is with us. No audio there, Victor. Let me make sure I've got your mic on. Maybe, can we hear you now?
Okay, I was muted. I'm on okay now. Can you hear me?
Awesome.
Okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, that's good. Well, I'm very pleased to be joining you here.
Thank you for joining us.
I just come back about half an hour ago from the Ambassador Bridge.
And what are you seeing? What were you seeing down there at the Ambassador Bridge today, Victor?
Okay, well, it's what I'm not seeing that's the relevant thing. I'm not seeing any trucks going across there. Under normal circumstances, we've got trucks going nose to tail across that bridge, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And right now, there is nothing going across there. Not a stitch. It's all locked down. And you know that that bridge carries somewhere in the region of $500 million a day of trade between the two countries, which I think in the 3 days now it's been closed at $1.5 billion. That's not happened. And that has got to be a tremendous leverage into the government to take action and give the people the freedom that they're currently looking for.
So is that getting the attention of government, do you think?
Without a doubt. We've seen 2 Liberal members of Parliament now come across to oppose their one-time dictatorial leader, Justin Trudeau. And I think that pretty soon, I mean, I'm no clairvoyant. I can't tell you what's going to happen, but I can predict, and I predict that very soon we're going to see a vote of no confidence in the House, and we're going to see Trudeau removed. And I believe that when Trudeau is gone, when a sitting Prime Minister is removed through a vote of no confidence, I think what that does is that triggers another general election. And my prediction is we're going to see another election in the spring. And I think that a lot of people now have seen the Conservatives, the Liberals and the NDP all being complicit this last 22 months. And not one of them has raised their voice in opposition at all. And there have been 1 or 2 small exceptions, but basically speaking, there has been no voice of opposition to any of this, with the exception of the People's Party of Canada, and we don't even have a seat in the House, and we're the only things that even resemble a political party that's in opposition. But can I say one more thing, Rick?
Go ahead. Absolutely.
And that is that I read somewhere that it takes 3 elections for a new political party to make any serious inroads. And this next election, which I believe will happen this year, will be election number 3 for the People's Party of Canada. And if you were with me on Ambassador Bridge today, and I've got my PPC toque on my head, and the number of people, the number of supporters that we've got is tremendous, absolutely tremendous. And I think that it has the possibility of being a landslide next time round.
So you are running. You ran in the last election and will be running again in the next election for which riding?
That's the riding of Windsor-Tecumseh. But next time round, Rick, it's going to be different, because in the last election, I'm not a career politician. I haven't been to politician school, and I didn't really have a lot of an idea of what I'm supposed to be doing. But I was picking it up every day. A lot of what I had to do, I did on my own. I had a nucleus of a really good team, but basically speaking, it was hard work from 6 o'clock in the morning till 11:30 midnight every day, 7 days a week during the whole of the campaign period. And I was exhausted at the end of it, but I've got a good team ready to roll for the next one with some real high caliber people that are going to be able to get our message across. And you know what, Rick, we're not new kids on the block anymore. We're well heard of, and people
Right.
know about us, and they see us as being the middle ground of Canadian politics, which is where the Conservatives used to be. So we hold that flag in that middle ground of common sense Canadian politics, which is what I think the rank and file of this country are looking for, to give them the freedom and to run their own lives with minimal interference.
Can we come back to some of that in a moment? But can you just give us more of what you saw down at the Windsor-Detroit border day at the Ambassador Bridge? Because the politicians are making, especially the liberal politicians like Mike Bradley, who today called protesters terrorists, and they're now whining and complaining about the supply chain issue and the economy, which they didn't seem to care about at all when they were locking everything down and putting people under house arrest. But what are you seeing? What were you seeing down there?
Well, what we're seeing down there is a lot of goodwill, a lot of friendliness, and everybody's shaking everybody's hands and hugging each other, and there's tents up there. I mean, just imagine like any highway in your own neighborhood, like the 401. Imagine there's tents that have been pitched in the middle of it, right? You normally get like a super highway, and there's tents and people are playing hockey on the highway, and they're having fun, and there's music. And I had a delicious burger because there are numerous barbecues that have sprung up on the highway, and there's all cooking going on and dancing and partying, and kids are rollerblading and like skateboarding, and it's just a party atmosphere, and people are well behaved, and the cops are there on the sidelines watching what's going on and not interfering because they've been good as gold. They've been good as gold because we've been good as gold, and we're not drinking down there and getting drunk and fighting and causing a nuisance or desecrating like roadways or anything. There are people down there just in a goodwill, proper Canadian spirit of freedom and friendliness, which is what they're renowned for around the world.
What type of time frame are you putting on for the ending of the restrictions? Like how effective do you think this will be?
Well, I don't know. That's a bit like asking me how long is a piece of string. I mean, I don't know the answer to that one at all. What I can say is I don't believe that it can go on for very much longer at $500,000 a day in lost trade. And that's only one bridge, for crying out loud. And, the people have risen up. The people have spoken. The vast majority of people now, I would say, have got no confidence in this government. And we're waiting now. We're waiting for all of the elected MPs to rise up and throw Trudeau out of Parliament and get rid of the mandates. And I think if those two things, if I had to ask people, and I intend to do this on Saturday, I intend to get on the mic and with a show of hands for the many hundreds of people down there, Brenden, and ask them, what is it that you want to see before you can disperse and go home to your families? I think most people would say they want Trudeau gone and they want the mandates gone. And that's a primary objective. When them two things are gone, this thing is over. And it's now in the hands of all the MPs in Parliament to make those two things happen. And it's not only going to happen provincially. It's no good Doug Ford removing mandates in Ontario. This is about all mandates, federally and provincially, all gone. So we can get back to where we were before this pandemic even started. The Centre for Disease Control, the CDC, have come out and said this virus now is no more dangerous than the common cold. So why isn't all of this over? The government aren't making it over. So it's not about health anymore. It can't be. It's about control. And they don't have the control, because what they're forgetting in Parliament is that they work for us. They do our will. They do what we want. And we want our freedom back. We've all been good. We've all been compliant during this period. We followed all the rules. And now, for all intents and purposes, as far as we're concerned, it's over. And all that Parliament has to do is mandate it's over and get rid of the most unpopular, undemocratic Prime Minister that this country's ever seen. He needs to go. And if he had any honour, I mean, where I come from, an honourable politician now would have handed his resignation in. But we know the man hasn't got any honour. And so, therefore, he's going to have to be levered out of his seat, preferably with a size 9 boot would work very nicely. So he needs to go back to wherever his safe space is. And we need to get an interim Prime Minister in there. And it can't be Chrystia Freeland, because she's just as bad as he is.
Oh, God, that's a nightmare. Although your optimism is very infectious, I must say. I do like that.
I think it's going to happen, Brenden. It's days away from happening. It's days, because the pressure is too great. And you know, we don't even know what's going on the other side of the border in the US, because, you know, the pressure is so massive over there too.
Oh, I've seen some rumblings in legacy media today regarding contacting the United States military. So the mayor of Detroit and the mayor of Windsor are talking, and somehow the National Guard somehow got tossed into there. I'm not quite sure altogether, but yeah, that would be terrible. That's not a very smart idea. We've seen these types of politicians try to throw these instruments of destruction at peaceful protests before, and it never turns out right for them. I predicted myself that things in Ottawa would have fallen apart by yesterday. I was entirely wrong. They can't simply move on that. So, I mean, how long the Windsor border is going to last is just anybody's guess, really.
Are they fortified down there, Victor? Do they have the resilience, the resources to keep that blockade in place?
The phrase "hold the line" resonates all the time. The people down there are absolutely committed to staying until their two objectives are met, which is say goodbye to Justin Trudeau and removing all mandates, not just provincially but federally. And they're there for the duration. But when you say, are they fortified? I mean, there's no barricades. This is not an armed standoff. It's a peaceful occupation, and the police are watching. And what we mustn't forget is that the police have got their mandates too. There are a lot of their comrades and who served the public for a long time, who, because they refuse to disclose their vaccination status, are being thrown out of work evilly on unpaid leave. And so the police have got good friends and good comrades that they see this happening to as well. And so it's very difficult for the government to get the police on board. And most of them are really good down there, and just letting us get on with it. Because the last thing that I think that they want to do is start bringing water cannons in. It's very cold. I wouldn't stay there with a water cannon hosing me down. You can rest assured I want to go home and change pretty quick. So a water cannon would disperse them pretty quick, and so would a few canisters of CS gas. And as an ex-military guy, I've actually deployed CS gas, and I've had a whiff of it, and it's not pleasant. You won't want to stay there when CS gas is going off. So they could clear that. They could clear that up very, very quickly. But I don't think they haven't got an excuse to do that. If they're being instructed to do that by the government, I can only imagine the police force is saying, there are children here on skates. They're partying. Like, why do we need to turn water cannons and gas on these people? What do they do? We can't do that. This is still a free country, and they're free to demonstrate. So the cops are just observing, and they're great. I actually went over to one of the cruisers today, and I'd got a burger in my hand, and I said, listen, guys, I want you to get on your radio to your other police cars in the area and let them know that you're more than welcome to come over and get some burgers with us. We've got plenty of food for you. We can feed you guys too. Guy's got a big smile on his face. And so yeah, they could clear this up in half an hour if they wanted to, but they've got no reason to. And the splashback that they would get if they went in there heavy-handed would resonate around the world. We've got news people down here from other countries. I saw a Dutch news TV crew, Dutch TV crew interviewing people. They're Australian TV crews. This is big in Windsor. Are the police going to come in here and do a baton charge when the world's press are there filming this?
Well, I kind of think that this is worthy of noting. So as of today, an Ontario Superior Court justice has delayed hearing an application for an injunction that would stop protesters blocking the Canada-bound traffic at the Ambassador border crossing in Windsor. So the Chief Justice, Jeffrey Morowitz, says he understands the matter is urgent, but the application is serious in nature, and the defendants should be given the chance to make their case. And I think that is very reasonable.
Well, we've just got to wait and see. We're going to see what happens.
So
I think
if the judge was corrupt, though, he could have pushed through that injunction today, and he could have had that place cleared out today. But they're saying we need to allow the defendants the time to speak, and that is one of the few times we get to see the justice system actually work. So good on Judge Morowitz.
What's the police chief of Windsor saying, and the mayor, with regard to the protest? Where are they coming down on this?
I have no idea, Rick, because those kind of meetings are happening behind closed doors. But our mayor, Drew Dilkins, don't forget, this is the guy who came up with the brilliant idea of opening up a vaccination clinic halfway up the Detroit-Windsor tunnel. And we were all incredulous when he came up with that idea. And this is also the guy who quite evilly got rid of a couple of hundred of his city workers because they refused to disclose their vaccination status, and is now advertising a couple of hundred jobs, the city, for people who are fully vaccinated. So in other words, he's encouraging scab labour to come in and take over the responsibilities of the people that he has put on unpaid leave for not disclosing their vaccination status. So the mayor of Windsor, Drew Dilkins, he probably won't survive the next election because I can't see him having the support. And the guy is just so under control of the government at the moment, and he's complicit with the sitting Liberal MP, Eirik Kazmierczak, they're all Trudeau puppets, and they're all doing as they're told. And I predict it will ultimately be their downfall because they're not on the side of the people. They're on the side of control and coercion.
Yes, and he was very fond of calling people mask holes.
I never heard him.
Oh yeah, earlier in the pandemic, I remember videos where he came out and was calling people who didn't want to wear masks mask holes.
Now, who are we talking about now? The mayor?
Drew Dilkins.
Yeah.
Well, not very impressive.
I don't think he's very popular at all. Not at all. And he's into spending vast amount of people's money on tents and things for festivals and God knows what. And I don't think he's very popular. Right. But we'll see. And don't forget, I don't even live in Windsor. I live in Tecumseh, which is just on the outskirts. And we've got our own mayor, whose name is Harry McNamara, and he's just as bad. He's complicit too.
With all these mayors, Windsor, Tecumseh, Sarnia, Chatham, Ottawa, they all have garbage mayors.
I know, but it's down to the people. This is a revolution going on now. Perhaps they'll all be. We can say goodbye to all of them in one go. Put them all in a big bag.
Do you think the politicians don't understand that this really is just an organic movement? That this is the people speaking? That it isn't some coordinated political action group putting together some plastic fancy bought and paid for protest. This is just the people fed up. And it doesn't seem like the politicians get it. Like they don't understand that this is just a lot of people fed up, coming out, expressing themselves. This is just an expression of the public. It is not some, you know how like you could get like a corporation to mount a campaign, or you could have a labor group mount some sort of a big protest, right? But this is not what it is.
That's right. It's a spontaneous arising of the people. It's
Yes.
precisely what it is. Nobody's orchestrated it. No opposition party or communist party has come in and infiltrated. This is just regular, hardworking, tax-paying Canadians that have risen up, and they've had enough of it. They've completely had enough of it. And it's the truckers really that's united it, because this is not just about truckers anymore. The people there, the vast majority of people that are on the bridge today are not truckers. They come from all walks of life, all races. And I tell you something else as well. A lot of them are vaccinated, and they're supporting all of this, because they want to be free too. And there's a lot of them, and I call them Oscar Schindlers, after have you ever seen the movie Schindler's List?
Yeah.
Oscar Schindler was comfortable. He was in there with the governing Nazi party. He didn't have to worry about anything, and he went out of his way, and his own personal danger, to help the underprivileged and the people that are being discriminated against. And any single person who's vaccinated now, who stands up in the cause of freedom and anti-discrimination against the people that are unvaccinated, I would like to give them an Oscar Schindler medal for standing up for the people that are being discriminated against.
How do you feel about the language that's been coming out of these politicians like Justin Trudeau, the people with unacceptable views, and the accusations and smears of these protesters being fascists and Nazis and racists,
insurrectionists?
Well, I have to tell you, Rick, Brenden, that my wife has written to the Attorney General, Brenda Luckie, the RCMP. She's written about a dozen letters, absolutely resentful of being referred to as a misogynist and a racist and a homophobic, whatever it is, and this, that, and the other. I mean, and the people down here, if whatever the objective was for Trudeau to be labeling people in this fashion, it's backfired on him immensely, because there are people that are very, very annoyed, and we are not those sort of things. We are not any of those things.
No.
Racism, as far as I'm concerned, racism in this country was finally put to bed in the 90s at some time. When, that's a thing of the past. If there is any of it now, it probably exists with him, because in my experience, people that call other people these kind of names are guilty of being those things themselves. And
I believe the word we're looking for starts with a B and ends with an E. Blackface.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because he is racist. Yeah.
And no respect for women, no respect for women.
Yep.
I think he is all of the things that he's calling everybody else. I really do.
That's always their way, though, right? Accuse people of doing what you're doing yourself.
Well, and really, that's all that I look on them as the radical far left, and I believe that the only weapon that they've got up their sleeve now is really the only retort that they've got is that, oh, you're a racist, or you're just a racist, and that's basically all they've got. Is that all you've got? Calling me a racist? I'm not a racist, for crying out loud. I got a Jamaican friend of mine that's been my buddy for 25 years. And as you go through life, you're very, very fortunate if you've got 5 people who you can become really close with. And my Jamaican buddy is one of those 5. And there is no way that I am a racist, and I resent being called one. Absolutely.
What do you say to the people, including politicians like Candace Bergen, who are calling on the truckers to take down everything, end this, and get rid of the blockades at the border, especially because it's having an impact on the economy now.
Well, it's having an income on the economy, but you know what else had an income on the economy? Spending money like it's going out of fashion, or printing money like it's going out of fashion. That's had an immense negative effect on the economy. You know, and what we've got going on here right now, it's most people believe that it's a short-term pain for a long-term gain. Yes, it's having an effect on the economy, but the prize at the end of this is freedom, and so it's worth it. It's worth having the short-term pain on the economy, because after Trudeau's gone and we've got somebody in with some sensible fiscal responsibility, we can rebuild the economy. But once your freedom's gone, then it's probably almost impossible to get it back without bloodshed. But once your economy's shot, with hard work and with good leadership and with pride in the country and with pride in its flag, we can get the economy back again, and we can get things up, and we can get people back to work without being discriminated against, and we can buy Canadian products, we can manufacture Canadian products, and we can put this country back on its feet. But first, we need a change of leadership.
You touched on something there. I've been saying this is like a new form of warfare, and the Canadian people are fighting this war with love and with nonviolent, peaceful protest. Do you view it in much the same way? Because
yes,
it sure feels that way.
Yeah, there are no guns, there are no bullets, there are no bombs, but this is every bit a war, and it's a fight for survival, because everybody on that convoy knows that if they cave now and go home, we're not going to. The freedom's gone. It's over.
Right.
How far to the left we will go? Maybe into full-blown communism. I got no idea. But to the left we will go. They will have won, and freedom will be gone.
So this is for all the marbles, really. This is it.
This is it. This is it. There is no. We have to hold the line, and we have to win.
So at the border, normally I would be on board too, saying, it's probably not a great idea to protest and close that border for so long that it starts to have serious impacts on the economy and factories and people's jobs. But in this case, the cause seems to be so righteous that, and there are so few other options for the people that it doesn't seem like there's any other option. They have to hold the line if they're going to prevail.
And they've got to, and they will. They've all pledged. They have all pledged that they absolutely will not disperse until such times as the two basic objectives have been granted.
And isn't it funny, when all this started, the demands from the truckers were that Justin Trudeau resign or all the mandates be lifted. But it sure seems like the momentum is there so that the truckers are actually going to end up achieving both of their goals.
That's it. There are a lot more goals, but that's a secondary thing. We can dismantle these blockades. We can get things rolling again. We can get things moving again when them two are met. But there's an awful lot of other stuff that we're going to want. We want Dr. Stephanie Tam, whatever her name, we want her gone.
Theresa Tam, yep.
Theresa Tam, we want Chrystia Freeland, we want her gone. We want Doug Ford gone. I mean, there's a lot of secondary things that are coming, and we want a new general election now, because we believe that this minority government doesn't have the mandate of the people anymore, and so it is now essential for all politicians in Parliament to instruct or resurrect or bring forward a vote of no confidence so that we can have another election, so that whoever the next government is, even if it's Liberal again, at least they've got the mandate, a new fresh mandate after all of this. The new government, whoever it is, has got a new mandate to govern. And then there'll be no opposition, because the people will have spoken. But the people need to speak, and the people need another election, and the people need this Prime Minister gone. And we need every politician to come forward in a vote of no confidence. And the Liberals now are starting to come forward one by one, and that trickle will probably start to be an avalanche as these days go past us. And I don't believe that there'll be too many more days, but as these days go past, I think more and more people are going to come out of the woodwork now. And I'm sure that there are all kinds of discussions going on behind closed doors and over the phone, because a lot of these politicians know each other. And I'm sure that they can convince each other. And like any day, there's going to be a vote of no confidence. And if it is that a vote of no confidence is brought forward and it fails, and Trudeau is there to stay as Prime Minister, then I think that all the people in all the convoys would respect that, because the elected representatives have spoken, and Trudeau remains as Prime Minister. But that doesn't make the convoys disperse. All that does is it sorts out one of the requirements for dispersal. And then the other one is all the mandates have got to go. So whatever happens in Parliament, all mandates have got to go.
Yes.
I think you touched on a nerve there. So one of the nerves being that one of the biggest criticisms for everything that has been going on, which, fair enough, we should look at those criticisms and we should treat them seriously. Otherwise, we're no better than what the politicians have done to the people with lying to them about, or just straight out not talking about anything for fear of getting canned. But one of the biggest criticisms is that Justin Trudeau has been delivered a mandate and that democracy worked last September. Do you think that it has drastically changed since that point, or do you think that they have a fair criticism there?
I think there's fair criticism of the government. The government have totally ignored the will of the people, and they say they follow the science. The science is now coming out in other parts of the world, in Europe and in the US, to show that this thing is no longer a threat that it used to be. Even indeed, if it used to be a threat, it's now being considered by more and more countries that it's not a threat at all. And I don't know, it's just Canada seems to be the last one that's trying to hang on to the control of the people through the fear that is being pervaded through the mainstream media. And them guys have got a lot to answer for. But I do see guys, over the last week, I do see the mainstream media are now starting to see which way the wind is blowing. And I now see some more kind of balanced journalism coming through, perhaps not from the CBC, but certainly from the CTV. And maybe, we might be seeing now a return to where we don't get the personal opinion of the news anchor, which nobody's interested in, but give us the facts and we'll make our own minds up. So I think that if the mainstream media want to exist and they want to survive and they want to come out of this thing smelling of roses, then they're going to have to change, because there's so many people that go to work and then they come back home, crack a beer and watch the 6 o'clock news, and they're fed all this garbage, that's coming from the narrative of the government, when there are so many great independent news medias. So I know where to go to get my news, but there's one hell of a lot of Canadians that don't, and they're still watching this garbage, and they're putting the fear of God up them. I mean, and it's so sad that we're losing friends because they've been brainwashed by the government. I mean,
hey, Carla, why don't you ask Victor some questions and say hello? This is Carla Olson. She's in Ottawa right now.
Hi, Carla.
I can't hear you, Carla. You got to turn on your mic, I think.
Yeah, your mic. I think your mic might be muted.
There we go. I can hear you now. We have audio.
Yeah.
Right.
Carla, Victor, Carla.
Hello, Carla.
Victor.
Carla, my daughter's name is Carla.
She's got a great name.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You know what? Honestly, I'm just walking around and listening to Victor, and I don't even think I'd have a question. He's pretty solid with all of his, with what he's talking about. But I do want to add, you know what? Thank you. Thank you for what you're doing in Windsor, and for those who are doing things in Sarnia. I just love that this whole thing is just spreading.
Yeah. What's going on up there now? I mean, we see on the news, etc. What's going on up there now with the guys with the jerry cans?
Well, I mean, so twice their jerry cans have been seized at Coventry, which is where they're holding their surplus. Last night being the last time. And what was it? Last week was the first time? Like Monday?
Yeah, a few days ago. Yeah.
A few days ago. So, yeah. And the big threat now and the big talk over TikTok and Instagram and Facebook has been that, that there's thousands of police officers, RCMP and OPP being deployed. And they're coming in with tear gas and rubber bullets. And their goal is to round us up and arrest us. First going after the truckers. And then I heard tonight, which I don't see an increase in police presence. I see what we normally have been having, because I've been here since the beginning, what we're having as the weekend starts to come. And tomorrow there will be more, and then even more on Saturday. That's just the way it is. Another thing that was speculated was that I was told right before I got on live here that up on Wellington Street, they were tearing down, the police had come and they were tearing down tents and taking away barbecues. But I mean, I walked with you guys all the way through Wellington Street. There's none of that going on. There is a counter protest somewhere supposed to be going on right now. That's why I took that big detour down around Elgin Street. That's where it's supposed to be. And I walked by it and I couldn't find it. I just wanted to see what it looked like,
Okay. Well, one of the things that's being talked about here in Windsor was that we're aware that the downtown core in Ottawa is pretty log jammed with trucks.
It is. It is. But there is an emergency lane open all the way through. Like the truckers have been very respectful because they understand the importance of getting EMS, police, fire through. Yep. So they've kept they've been very respectful about keeping a lane open.
Okay. But we were talking about this afternoon. And that is that a lot of new truckers and a lot of new protesters can't get anywhere near the downtown core in their vehicles, and they're being put in various car parks around the city, some of which are maybe 4, 5, 6 kilometers out away from the downtown core. I mean, is that right?
Yeah, that's absolutely true of the truckers. They've been out there and have been parked outside of the downtown core. As far as protesters, I think the protesters are getting in if they're coming in just with their car. It's pretty easy to get into the downtown area because of these streets and going and parking on, it depends on where you're trying to get to, but 3 to 4 blocks from Wellington Street. I mean, my husband has been coming and going and he's had no trouble.
Okay. One of the things that was suggested today, and that is that these truckers that are like 5 or 6 kilometers outside of the downtown core can be a tremendous benefit by getting out their trucks and going on foot and being part of the massive people that we see on Parliament Hill. But their actual trucks are not really doing anything because they're like several kilometers outside the city. And it's been put to me today by more than one person that those people that are right on the periphery of the city would probably be better served by jumping in their trucks and heading for the nearest border crossing.
Yeah, I mean, that's something, if that could be something that could be brought up with the organizers,
Yeah.
That I haven't heard anything of that sort.
Yeah.
I do know that last weekend when Toronto had their protest, several trucks did pull out and went to Toronto to support them and then came back.
Yeah.
Victor, it seemed to me from the beginning that the way to apply real pressure would be to have these border blockades, which we'd heard about them talking about from the beginning. Do you think that that single blockade at the Ambassador Bridge is likely to have more impact than everything that's going on in Ottawa, just because of the impact on the economy?
Using a wartime analogy, it's a second front that's been opened, basically, against the enemy, and every border crossing is a front line, and I think that with what's going on if the downtown core, if the presence in the downtown core in Ottawa can be maintained, and if the trucks from on the outskirts of Ottawa can just get themselves into the downtown core of Toronto, And then the bridges, I mean, this is tremendous pressure. And, you know, springtime is coming. We're going to have 10,000 bikers up there in a minute. I mean, can
Funny,
you imagine that?
I actually had someone mention to me, somebody messaged me on my messenger last night. He's a guy from Sarnia. And he said, you know, there's a whole group of us that are bikers. He said, if the weather would just get mild, we're coming.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So, you know, it's if it escalates, if the government, I'm fairly certain that the government understands that if they escalate their actions, then, you know, there's two sides to an escalation. And the escalation would be, and it would get horrible. It would get horrible. And I don't think that they want that. Nobody wants that, right? All we want is freedom, basically. Well, in fact, there's three objectives, I would say. Number one is we don't see ourselves as anti-vaxxers or anti-maskers. The word anti is very, very negative. And if we can use the word pro, we are pro-freedom. If you want to wear a mask, go ahead. If you want to get vaccinated, go ahead. But it's pro-freedom. Now, let's get rid of this narrative about being an anti-vaxxer. So that's point number one, freedom of choice. Point number two is confidentiality. Because whether you've had a vaccine or not has got absolutely nothing to do with the guy at Via Rail that's going to sell you your train ticket. It's got nothing to do with the check-in desk girl at Air Canada, and it's got nothing at all to do with the maitre d' at your favourite restaurant. None of their damn business. So confidentiality is number two. And number three is non-discrimination. Because if you choose not to get vaccinated, you should absolutely not be discriminated against. This concept of vaccinated people sitting in a warm restaurant tucking into a steak, and an unvaccinated person with their nose pressed up against a window can't get in. Man, if I was the vaccinated person in that restaurant, I would choke on my food knowing that I've got friends that can't go in there. And, you know, how can anybody who's vaccinated go in these places and support them knowing that their brothers, sisters, friends, colleagues are not allowed in there? And business owners now, they probably, after 22 months, mortgaged their homes up to the hilt, thrown good money after bad, hoping, and they've been led all the way through. 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Just another month. Oh, just another month is all we need. And you know, when you've got that wonderful four-letter word, which is hope, that you think is going to be over soon, and before you know where you are, it's 22, 24 months have gone by, and you've remortgaged your property and you've got nothing else to lose. Open your damn restaurant. Don't discriminate. What's going to happen? You've got nothing else to lose. You put everything in, you've got all your life savings into keeping it open. What have you got to lose? And if you get a ticket, it's going to be fine, even if it goes to court. There are so many tickets out there, it's going to be 5, 6, 7, 8 years before you even get your chance, your day in court.
So Victor, Carla, I can confirm that the Ontario government has successfully petitioned to, with the courts, to freeze access to the Give, Send, Go fundraiser. That effectively freezes the money that has been redirected from GoFundMe to Give, Send, Go for the truckers. And I believe the last I heard, they had raised somewhere around $8.4 million US. And they were also there was also money being donated through cryptocurrency and other platforms, but the Give, Send, Go is the main one. After the $10 million that was raised through GoFundMe was frozen and refunded to the people who donated it. So that is something that is a new development, and that shows that the anti-freedom movement, the government side, is not giving up. Can I get your reaction to that, Victor?
Yeah, well, they've frozen $8 million worth of the truckers' money. The truckers are freezing millions and millions of dollars worth of their money each and every day. And so who can run out of money first is the answer to that, right? That's $500 million a day just at the Ambassador Bridge. So, yeah, this is what I was talking about earlier when in terms of escalating, right? You freeze $8 million worth of our money. Let's just wait and see what we can freeze of your money.
Yes. So it's important to note, too, that money, that came from the people again, right?
And I understand, what is it called? Give, Send, Go. I understand that's a Christian organization.
Yes.
It's just like, well, how evil is it? How evil to put an injunction on a Christian organization?
Carla, do you think freezing that money will, what impact do you think that will have on everything going on down there? Is that gonna end this?
No, I don't think so, because it's cat and mouse. They're just we'll figure out another way to get the money to the people. Our generous people want this so badly.
Of course
money
they
doesn't
are.
matter if you don't have your freedom, right?
I even know somebody that reached up in a cab and give them $250s, give them $100 in cash because they wanted to give the truckers something. So where there's a will, there's a way. Never underestimate the Canadian people. They are very clever.
Yes.
They are very smart. They will figure out a way. You send these kids to school, you give them an education, you make them smart. Don't treat them like they're dumb. They're very clever. They are very clever.
Yes. Are you disappointed, Brenden, to see that's happened, or what do you think?
No, it makes sense because we know how vindictive the mayor of Ottawa and that Peter Slyly, the chief of police for Ottawa, are.
General Slowly? Yeah.
Yeah, General Slowly. That's a great name. Yeah. We should give him he's a -1-star General Slowly. So we know how much of a weasel he is, and we know how much of a weasel the mayor is. This is the same tricks they already have, but I'm not worried. You want to know why? Because it's just like Victor said, they're smart. They have multiple streams of income. Like, they're not slowly relying on it. Carla has showed us multiple points where people have donated lots of money. We have seen that there is also money streams coming in through Interact e-transfer. So there's money getting to these people, and something tells me a lot of these people didn't go there with the understanding that, we're going to have access to all this fund money. Like, this is not what they're there for. They're there for business only.
Listen, all their needs are being met, guys. Like, they have the Adopt a Trucker program, so where people can do a few things. They can donate money. They can, if they live in the Ottawa area, they can wash their clothes, offer them a shower, give them somewhere to sleep. Food. There's such an abundance of food that no one would go hungry. In this city, it's unbelievable.
Oh, there's plenty of food down it. There's plenty of food.
What was that? What's that going on there? Is that gas?
Yep,
or decoys?
I don't know. That's the question. Hey, listen, guys. I'm gonna have to sign off.
Okay.
Only because I did promise that I'd get a little bit of the action up in here, and I know it's too loud for you guys if I go there. So
yes.
I just want to thank you guys for having me on the show. And Victor,
can I have one last question?
Sure.
One last question. What's the hotel room situation like up there? I've heard stories that the government have bought up all the hotel rooms, stop people getting a hotel room.
Yeah, so that's been going around, and there's been videos circulating of empty parking lots when you can't book a room. People are calling and actually asking, like it was the Delta they were talking about. And apparently someone who is in Parliament, actually their family owns the Delta here. So, that kind of made sense. It kind of strengthened the case, but really no one's been able to prove it. We can't prove it. It's still just speculation, right? I do know that the hotels are booking, but the crowds are coming. So they're staying somewhere. So
I know a lot of people are staying in their cars.
And that was the next thing I was going to say. The people that are coming here are absolutely dedicated. Like when we walk around and you see what they call them is the four. I've really gotten smart on this terminology. We have 18-wheel and 4-wheel. 4-wheel are pickup trucks and cars. And so all the 4-wheels, many of them that are parked on the side streets or along this Wellington Street, they're just sleeping in their car. They're dedicated. They don't care. Canadians, we can winter camp. You'll notice there's been some ice fishing huts set up here and there.
Ice fishing. Do a little ice fishing while I'm up there, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, they're resilient. So the government could buy up all the hotels, I would sleep in my car, and I'm a princess. So.
Okay, warrior princess, do me a favour. Everybody you speak to up there in Ottawa, tell them that Windsor's got their
The PPC has their back?
the PPC and Windsor.
And
the people of
Windsor. I will.
on
I'll
the
tell them.
Ambassador Bridge are united in solidarity with every single person up there.
Yeah, I've been talking to the truckers about Windsor and about Sarnia Lambton. They're impressed. I mean, guys, this is worldwide, but it's just so cool that you guys have the borders. I mean, we are in the cool, like it's a war. I love it. I love seeing the tactical, you know, intertwining of all of it. I just love seeing all the planning, and it's like a big chess game. I don't know. It's great. Okay. I'm learning so much.
Okay.
What a time to be alive.
It is. We're all making history, guys. And, you know, I just want to thank you, Rick and Brenden, for having me on the show. Victor, it's been a pleasure meeting you.
Okay.
Thank you for your insight. You had beautiful insight. And I've been wanting to get a report on what's going on in Windsor. So, and I'm counting, and I heard a little bit from Brenden about Sarnia Lambton. I'm out of touch because I'm here in Ottawa. So thanks, guys.
Okay.
Thank you, Carla.
No problem.
You are super awesome as always. Thank you so much.
Well, I wish you guys a good night. And you know what? I'm just going to tell you, always remember, be kind, be Canadian.
Awesome.
Okay.
See you guys.
Stay safe, stay warm.
Will do.
Okay, bye.
Will do. Take it easy, guys.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Yep.
Bye.
She
Okay,
is great.
and then there were three.
Then there were
Yes.
three. Yeah. We've been very lucky to have Carla. She has been providing us nightly correspondence on the ground in Ottawa. It's been very lovely getting her perspective and the day-to-day changes of how things look in Ottawa. So it's been very good to follow that story with somebody there.
So, in spite of the funding being frozen, in spite of the cops continuing to go after the fuel to try to freeze the truckers out, in spite of them trying to stop people from taking them sandwiches, do you think they're winning?
No. This is what I see now. Is I see a government that's in its death throes. It's in its death throes of panic. Using more and more of the same old rhetoric about racists and terrorists, this kind of thing, and you know, it's all they've got, and it's all they can. It's all they can employ. They can't employ anything else. I mean, we got lots of stuff that we can employ, but that's all they've got in Parliament is to keep screaming out this same old junk all the time, and they've got to move on from that now, and it will dawn on them. It will dawn on them that the only way to end this really is to a vote of no confidence. It's the only way to end it, and of the removal of mandates, and vote, and you know, and I can see them planning it now, Rick. And the word is, well, you know, we've had another meeting now with our scientists and our medical advisors, and the numbers of COVID people now are going down and down and down every day. And so we're very pleased to be able to announce that we're removing all mandates in the country. They've got to be seen that it's their decision to remove the mandates when the mandates go. But never forget who removed those mandates. You guys removed those mandates. The government didn't remove them for you. And even though they're going to put a spin on it to make it look like it was their decision, these mandates will end when the people say that they're ending, and when they're ending today. The mandates are over, and they're over now. And
well, it's pretty clear that people are speaking, and that's the message.
Yeah, whatever spin the government puts on it, it's us that's got rid of the mandates. It's not the government, out of the goodness of their heart, that's got rid of them for us.
Look at all those jerry cans.
Yeah, I know.
Can't tell if those look like they've got something in them.
Yeah. Well, you
Yeah.
know.
There's been a joke going around. There's been a joke going around the internet, and it goes, "Who could defeat the Ottawa police?" And it's Jerry can.
All right, yeah, that's nice. Yeah. Well, you know, I actually remember a movie called The Great Escape. Has anybody seen that one, The Great Escape?
Absolutely.
When they're digging tunnels, the POWs are digging tunnels to escape from the German prisoner of war camp. And what they got to do is they got to disperse the dirt. And so they got these things down their pants legs that are full of dirt from the tunnel, and then they just walk around and let the dirt go. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool to invent a jerry can that went down your pants leg, right? And you, or inside your coat or something, you know, and where you could walk up and fill a truck up and it didn't look like you were carrying a jerry can. So maybe if there's somebody out there that's got a plastics company, what we need is a jerry can that can go down your pants legs or can fit into your body, so that you can walk through the barriers and get the jerry cans to the cops. The only thing is, there should be a warning label on them: don't smoke while purveying these things inside your pants.
No, absolutely not.
But this does show the resilience and the creativity of the people down there.
Oh yeah.
What's the local media been like? The local media in the Windsor area with regard to all of this?
Well, we had CTV down there the other day, but a lot of them are frightened to show up. My son is a videographer. He's an independent journalist. He runs a channel called Rendezvous. And he came down there and he did some filming. He's done some filming down there every night. And the people that have come up to him say, UCBC, UCBC. And he said, no, man, I'm okay. Like, I'm cool. I'm an independent. All right. So I don't think that the local media are very welcome. Not very welcome at all.
No.
I don't think that I'm certain that they wouldn't be assaulted, right? I mean, that wouldn't happen, but...
well, CTV is taking the logos off its cars and vans in many cities.
Yeah, I saw them.
So, you know, what do you think of that? I mean, if they have to do that, I think maybe they better start taking stock of what they're doing.
Well, you know, can you imagine in the boardrooms of these media companies now, like, you know, we've got to figure out which way the wind is blowing here, guys. You know, we don't want to end up on the wrong side of history here. And, you know, we could actually, this could actually work out bad for us if all of this goes in the way of the truckers and the government falls and, you know, we stop funding. And like, as a candidate for the PPC, if it was that the CBC changed course now and started reporting the truth, and they came round, I would be inclined to argue with Maxime Bernier not to defund them, because I know Maxime wants to defund them, but if they come round, you know, maybe they're savable. So I'm into forgiveness. And but they need to come round. The media need to come round, and they need to come round quite quickly and start reporting the truth. They don't even have to come out on the side of the truckers. They just got to stop spinning the government.
Balanced and fair.
Right? And I'm not interested in what the anchor's opinion is, right? They can keep that opinion for themselves. Like, as I said, Canadians are intelligent people. They've been well schooled, right? And what we want is we want the facts so that we can think for ourselves. We don't want to be taught how to think, and which is what's going on in the schools, of course. The children in schools now are not being taught how to think. They're being taught what to think, and that's going to have to stop. There's so many things on the agenda, Rick, that we need to change in this country. There's a huge thing.
You touched on something kind of important there, and I think we have a real opportunity from insight from Rick on this based off of his many years of experience with journalism. So you had mentioned that you're tired of hearing the newscaster's opinion. Rick, how valid is the newscaster's opinion? Is it worth any salt, anything at all?
It's not worth anything more than anybody else's opinion. It's just an opinion. Except that their voice is amplified, right? Because they have a platform and a big megaphone through a broadcast license. But, you know, my opinion on that isn't really worth anything either. It's just, it's worth what my opinion is worth. So, you know, what does anybody care what I think? But I'd be interested to know what Victor thinks of that.
I I don't want to hear I really don't want to hear the news anchor's opinion. It's because the news anchor's opinion carries a lot of weight and it can sway public opinion, and that's not what it's all about. What I'm very pleased to see a recent couple of news items from the CTV where they've just done streeters where they've interviewed people in the street, and they've just presented equal number of people that are for it and against it. And I'm like, yes! I haven't seen any of that for 2.5 years, where we've seen people that are for something and for against something, so that we can make our own mind up, right? And that like, I'm happy with that, right? That's good and that's healthy, and I want to see more of it.
Yeah. So the thing is, the tactic here, the key, right, is keeping it peaceful.
Oh,
that's the key to the whole thing. It has been from the beginning.
If it breaks out, if anything kicks off and it breaks out, they lose my support immediately. Unless it's an isolated incident by hooligans, or maybe even a false flag thing, we'd have to investigate it. But if this turned into real like street fighting and petrol bombs and bricks and like paving slabs and shops being burned and stuff, I'd be out of there, man. I'd have nothing further to do with them. But
Yes.
I very much doubt that's going to happen. These guys are, great people, hardworking, Canadians. They've got their lumberjack shirts on, and like these are the iconic Canadians that people in Europe. I mean, if I had to draw a picture of a Canadian, I mean, it's these guys dressed up for winter. Lumberjack shirt, big boots, big smile, big guys.
Isn't it fair to say that probably a lot of the people down there voted for Justin Trudeau and the Liberals?
Well, maybe they did. And I have spoken to quite a number of people down here in Windsor who did actually vote Liberal, but they said never again. That was a mistake. I think they've lost the mandate. They've lost the mandate.
That's exactly right.
I have seen a lot of turncoat happening with a lot of people. A lot of people seeing like all the damage and hurt the inflammatory rhetoric has caused. Rifts inside families. We all have lost family members through this who have fallen for the inflammatory rhetoric, and it just breaks my heart to see that it got to that point. But I have seen the turncoats, and they are there. So that's something that I think we're all seeing here. And I would have never thought I've seen the day, because most of these Liberal voters are lifelong voters. They've voted all their life that way.
Yeah, and that a lot of people do that. Well, and I have to tell you, I was that guy. But for Conservative. I have voted Conservative even before I even dreamed about going into politics. I voted Conservative every election that had been here, and without even giving it any thought, right? No thought whatsoever. I am that guy, one after the other. But I think that those days are coming to an end now.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is, we know that the Liberals and the NDP are like basically in bed with each other, and they're joined at the hip, and they're both.
That's a terrible image in my head, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and they're both. As I say, they're joined at the hip, and there's no distance between them. They're both very, very far to the left. And then you've got the Conservatives, who have been so complicit, and there's been virtually zero word of opposition in the House or anywhere, apart from Pierre Poilievre. And, he's like a lone voice in the wilderness. And anybody that's said anything against Erin O'Toole has been gone. Derek Sloan has been an example. And from a provincial point of view, I'm thinking of, Rob Nichols down in...
Rick Nichols,
Essex. Yeah, down in Essex. If you're a Conservative and you raise your head above the parapet, you're gone. I am confident. I am very, very confident that if I'm elected as the MP for Windsor-Tecumseh for the People's Party of Canada, if it is that there is a directive from the whips of the party, and it's at variance with the wishes of my constituents, I am confident that I would be able to go to Maxime, and I'm going to say, Maxime, I can't support you in the House on this particular bill or whatever it is, because it's at variance with my constituents. And I'm very confident that Maxime wouldn't kick me out of the party as a result of that. I think the People's Party of Canada are the only party that would be freely available to look after their constituents' best interest, rather than towing the party line and being a puppet, which is what, of course, my local Liberal incumbent is right now. I mean, what would your thoughts be on that, Rick?
Well, I think that what comes to mind with you saying that is my observation with the PPC has been that in the beginning it seemed like a new home for conservatives who had the party had left them and they were looking for a new home, and the PPC was it. And Maxime led that because he was a conservative and ran for the leadership. But over time, and especially with the beginning of the pandemic, the political landscape is being redrawn. And so I've seen this very strange but positive joining of people from different political stripes, all coming together to the PPC under this freedom umbrella. Do you think that's an accurate assessment? I mean, I see New Democrats, I see liberals, I see conservatives, I see people really from every political, all across the political landscape. So, people who have always been focused on social activism, social justice even, right? All of these things, but they seem to be gravitating toward the PPC simply because the PPC embraces what Canadian values really are and freedom. It's not just conservatives. It's not this far right political party that the media is trying to portray at all. It just isn't.
Yeah.
I personally, I mean, if I had to give a description of where I see the party, I would say we're in the middle ground of common sense politics with all the old values. And I was only having a conversation with somebody this afternoon. I said, listen, there isn't a nation on this planet that doesn't have something in its history that is rather ashamed of. And Canada is no exception. But, we've got so much to be proud of, all the achievements. Mm-hmm. And Canada is actually renowned as a liberator and as a fighter for freedom all through Europe. I mean, I don't even know if you even realize in what high esteem Canadian soldiers and Canadian people are held on an international basis. And it's just tremendous.
Yes.
And these people are coming together. They are coming together now. And they don't realize their own worth on a global stage. Look at how other countries now are emulating us in the cause of freedom.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Guys are so slow at rising up, though, I have to tell you.
Well, say with the rest of the world. Like it took Canadians to spark this movement. You touched on something a little bit there, and then it went to Rick, where he had talked about how you believe that the PPC would respect if you were to vote against what the PPC was going to do in the House. Now, I think that it was a disgrace to our democracy with what we had seen with the Conservative Party kicking out Derek Sloan, the Ontario Conservative Party kicking out Roman Babar, Belinda, what's her name, Rick Nickel.
Yeah.
These people were voted in under those name brands, and then to kick them out because of what they believe to be inherently wrong, it goes against what the people voted for.
Exactly, it's a dictatorship, and as I said, I believe that if you were voted against your party whip, I believe, and you were a PPC member of Parliament, I believe that Maxime would respect that. And if I felt for an instant I was joining a party and running for a party whereby I would have to toe the party line and it would be against the interests of my constituents, I wouldn't even be running, because I don't have to do this.
No,
I don't even have to run, and it's hard work, and I can't even believe that there's going to be a tremendous reward, because even if you win, the work and the effort and the phone calls. I can imagine it's going to be 3 or 4 years of really, really hard work, and at a time where I should be fishing and drinking beer and putting my feet up, because I've been working, Brenden, since I've been 13, and so this should be coming up to a part now where I'll put my feet up. But I'll give it a crack. I'll give it a crack in the cause of freedom, and to do my little bit to try and put this country on its feet. And then I'm quite happy to hand the reins over to whoever comes after me.
So, Victor, to bring the focus back to the border there briefly,
Yeah.
Ford Motor Company has been flying in parts to some of its plants. Stellantis, which is the Chrysler plant in Windsor, has been affected by this. Toyota's factories have been idled because of the border blockade, and the city of Windsor, the municipality, will be in court on Friday to seek an injunction declaring the border blockade illegal, and that will give police more power to act. We've also seen that Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer is saying that it's imperative that Canada ends the Ambassador Bridge blockade, which is no surprise coming from her, given her political views. And she says it's threatening the livelihoods of Michigan families. So with all this pressure, and there has been talk of the mayor and the police chief, I think the police chief, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a call from municipal officials to bring in at least 100 additional police officers as reinforcements from other jurisdictions, OPP, possibly RCMP. What are your thoughts? I mean, how long do you think these politicians and bureaucrats who are anti-freedom will tolerate the protests down there? I mean, that they're dug in. The police don't really want to do anything because the optics are not good. But realistically, with all this money on the line and big corporations bringing their own pressure to bear on the government, where do you think this? Is this going to shake down?
Well, the world's press will be there, and if they draw batons and they get their riot shields out and start cracking skulls, then the world's press are going to be there. And I don't think that there is a single politician that would want to see that up in Parliament. I don't know. I really don't know. At the moment, it's peaceful. It's costing the government a lot of money. All they got to do is get rid of the mandates. Other countries have done so. It would be the least painful option. Other countries have dumped mandates. Why are they holding on to these damn things in this country? What purpose does it serve? Right? Is it just to be belligerent? Is it just to be say you can't put a noose around our neck, economically speaking, from shutting down our borders, and we're going to crack some skulls, and then after we've cracked some skulls, we're going to open the borders. We're going to put tear gas in there. Just get Trudeau out and get rid of the mandates, because the guy is a useless prime minister, and he's all of the things that he calls other people. We still don't know what's going to be going on with this alleged illicit sex affair with this 15-year-old, and we don't know what's going on with that. I didn't think that there was any statute of limitations on rape of a child. Whether or not there is any
merit.
No, I'm thinking of there was some kind of a non-disclosure thing that's supposed to have happened. So whether there's a non-disclosure thing that's happening, what about the statute of limitations? Because it's still a criminal act. But and I did use the word.
There isn't one in Canada.
I did. Isn't there?
No, that's a U.S. thing. There's no statute of limitations on that kind of crime in Canada.
Okay, and I do reinforce the fact that I did say the word alleged.
Yeah.
I don't want to put my own neck in a noose there.
Yes, and that's right. None of these allegations which have been reported in the media have been proven in a court of law. So
That's
anything that we're referring to, we're simply referring to other media reports. We are not leveling specific allegations against anyone. But these reports have been out there in the public domain. And yes, these are questions that Justin Trudeau is being forced to grapple with, and they keep bubbling up to the surface. It's a problem for him.
Yeah, and and you go into any court of law, and which is somewhere where a place you want to avoid at all costs. But if you ever find yourself in a court of law, above the judge's chair, you'll see the crown, the royal cipher. And what that tells you, of course, is that the judge swears an oath of allegiance to the crown. And he doesn't swear an oath of allegiance to the reigning or current government. And so for a prime minister to coerce an attorney general into returning a verdict or prosecuting or not prosecuting is something which can't be done, because these people are supposed to be independent and they're supposed to be answerable to the crown and to the people, not to the reigning parliament at the time. And so like just about every rule in the book has been broken here. And I cannot believe that all of the members of parliament on both sides of the house have been complicit in letting him remain in office.
Well, it's pretty clear a lot of the measures being taken by government are in and of themselves unlawful. These mandates, for the most part, I think are unlawful because they're a violation of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. And they, in my view, again, and not just mine, but more knowledgeable, smarter people than I have come out to say, including Brian Beckford, the last remaining signatory on the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, which was approved and voted into its existence in 1981, that the federal government failed to meet the conditions to suspend the charter because the future, the survival of the country itself was really not in peril, as they have suggested and used as an excuse to implement all of these mandates. So these mandates really in and of themselves have been unlawful. A lot of what the government is doing here is unlawful because a lot of that is predicated on these COVID mandates themselves and the suspension of our rights and freedoms. What's your view on Mr. Beckford and his lawsuit, which is being launched against the federal government? Here we have one of the fathers of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, the last surviving author, one of the former premier of Newfoundland, who helped write that document and enshrine those rights for all Canadians, standing up and saying that what the federal government is doing is absolutely 100% wrong, and taking the federal government to court. This is no small thing.
Well, the legal process takes so long, and I can remember I had a third party action going, must have been 15, 16, 17 years ago. And after 2 years, I went to the court and I said to the court, like, what's going on with this third party action? And they said, when did you file it? And I gave them the date, 2 years. He said, 2 years ago. He said, this is still a baby. It's going to be a long time before this gets into a court of law. And so it takes so long, especially with all the tickets and stuff that's been issued at the moment. So, yeah, Beckford, the joke, the standard joke that jumps into my mind about him is when somebody says to Beckford, well, how come you know so much about the Charter of Rights and Freedoms? He said, well, because I wrote it. And,
Yeah.
I mean, it's unlawful. And every cop, I think, sitting in their cruiser is torn because they swore an oath of allegiance to uphold it, and the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and to serve and protect the people. And if it is that any power tells them to draw their batons and start swinging, I don't know. There will be some cops that will, and I can see that there will be some cops that will drag their aggressive colleagues out of the crowd. There will be all kinds of cell phone stuff going along and going over, because very different is the media today than it was maybe 10 years ago. Everybody and his uncle has got a cell phone, and that will be around the world before you can say Jack Robinson. It'll be faster than a rat up a drain pipe, and that thing will be going global. And they don't want that. They don't want to be seen. Each individual cop, what's your badge number? What's your name and your badge number? Did you see that one where that cop pulled that old guy out the car?
Yep.
and handcuffed. That's like disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. That's gone viral. It wouldn't surprise me if that guy lost his job and he's lost his pension and he's now out of work. He should be out. He should be thrown out of the police force immediately.
Yes, well, we ran that video here the other night, and there were 2 cops there, and the one cop, even one of the guys shooting video, the cop used the F word when he spoke to the guy shooting the video.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's the end of their career, man. I mean, like, it's got to be the end of their career. And, you know, they would be vilified in their own police station by a lot of their colleagues. And it's just not in their interest to do this kind of thing. And, you know, you can't even use the argument, well, I was just following orders. That argument doesn't hold water.
No, it doesn't. And we've seen that in war. And we've seen that every time that is used, it fails dramatically because it is just such crap. And everybody knows it is. They should all know better. They're in a tight spot because to play devil's advocate here, a lot of these people have homes, cars, boats, all these things, and they have a lot of debt racked up. If they were to lose their jobs just outright, then it would be bad. But
are we talking about the politicians?
Talking about the police.
Oh, okay, you're right.
Yeah. So, I mean, to play devil's advocate, that can be one thing, but for a little bit of insider information in 2019-2020, Ottawa police doled out over $20 million in settlements to victims against the Ottawa police services. And they had barely any firings to show for it.
Oh, yeah.
So that tells you what's going on inside there with that negative 1-star General Peter Slowly.
I think they're very reluctant to fire a policeman, you know, because you know how long it takes to train a cop. I mean, I think before he starts, you know, abusing his power and getting out there and getting him right in the head, I think you need maybe at least a minimum of, say, 4 years before you can let a cop out on the street on his own. And it's such an investment in every cop to get them proficient to be able to handle all kinds of different emergency situations on their own. It's a lot of training and a lot of experience and a lot of money and effort have gone into developing that guy. And so you don't want to fire him, but you can't have him going out there, you know, beating up old men. I mean, like, you know, maybe demote him,
suspend him without pay.
In fairness, the 2 officers involved in that particular incident were from another police service. It's on the I have it in my head, but I don't want to say because I want to be accurate. But I know that they were not Ottawa police officers. Okay. They were reinforcements brought in from another police service.
Well, and I also heard that there are 3 lots of police force up in Ottawa right now. There's the Mounties, and then there's the OPP, and then you've got the Ottawa Police.
Actually, we've seen what is it? We've seen
Durham Police, Windsor Police, London Police are up there.
Yep.
There are a bunch of different police services that have sent officers, and I'm certain the RCMP is up there as well.
Yeah. But what I heard was what we heard down here was it was the Ottawa Police who were discharged with the duty of going to get these jerry cans full of gas and confiscating them. And what we also heard, and they were vilified by the public. You know, with all kinds of comments about, you know, there's women and children that need that gas so that they can keep warm through the night, and all the names that these cops were being called when they were basically stealing the gas from the citizens, which they need to keep warm. They were abused verbally like you wouldn't believe. And what we heard down here was that a good proportion, somewhere near 50% of them, the following morning had resigned. And they were saying, like, I didn't join the police force for this. No. And this is bad. And I am not being a lackey of a totalitarian government by stealing.
And again, to be accurate, we've not confirmed that many police officers resigned. We have also heard that, you know, there's been talk of police calling in sick, taking stress leave, all of these things. I would imagine some of that is true. How much of it we don't know
Okay.
because we just don't have the facts.
Yeah, I have been seeing, and Rick too, because we've been following this since day one. There is a lot of rumor mill happening, like a lot.
And we do want to be accurate for people. We don't want to spread too much, information that hasn't been confirmed. But yeah, I mean, obviously these police officers, you can tell they don't want to be there. They don't want to do this.
In the military, we used to say, rumor control says this and rumor control says that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So,
guys, I think I'm going to wrap it in now. I'm going to go and have dinner.
Victor, you are great. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your perspective on all of this and letting us know what's been going on down at the Windsor-Detroit border. It's on the minds of everyone tonight.
Yeah.
And it is the second front in this war for freedom.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a very costly one for the government, a hugely costly. In fact, it's probably the most costly one. And so far, how many days has it been now? 4 days?
At the border in Windsor?
Yeah.
Yeah, at least. And there was there was another blockade that went up and then came down prior to that.
Yeah.
So, that's why I've kind of been wondering, will this one hold? The first one sort of went up and then it wasn't really a permanent, but it was just there for a short time and then came down. But you're saying that these guys have some depth.
Oh yeah, very much so. And I think that probably the loss in trade now is somewhere in the region of around about $2 billion for over 4 days, and that's just going up by 500 million, $500 million a day.
Can I ask you this? There's some speculation. Well, not speculation, but some people are saying, and I think this is true, and we're seeing it actually. Do you think the anti-freedom forces, the government forces, will be successful in blaming the blockades for shortages and damage to the economy and all of these things? Like, really, the blame for this stuff has to be laid at the feet of the government, but they're kind of flip this around and try to get the public on their side by saying, look at those evil racist truckers. If it wasn't for them, you'd have your Twinkies in the grocery store. That's why there aren't any on the shelves.
Well, yeah, that's exactly right. And it's not just about shortages, it's about price rises as well. I've seen that today, that the prices are going up because of the blockade. And the fact of the matter is the prices were going up before the blockade because the government's printing money like it's going out of fashion. And when you increase the money supply, that is inflationary. And nobody knows that more in the whole country than the people of Windsor, because we got this is the automotive capital of Canada, and back in the day we had the big three automakers, Ford, GM, and Chrysler here, and once every 3 years they used to have a bargaining talk to talk about their pay rise, and they used to get whatever pay rise it was, I don't know, 3%, 5%, 6%, 7%, whatever pay rise they managed to negotiate for themselves. The very next day, after negotiations were concluded and they announced the pay rise of whatever percent, all the prices went up locally, all the prices. Because I remember saying, hang on a minute, I don't work for an automotive company. Why are the prices going up for me? And what it was, of course, was there's so many more millions of dollars now coming into the local area by people working in the auto sector, that the prices went up for everybody. So we know here in Windsor and Essex County what an increase in the money supply locally has done to our prices. Now the rest of Canada is seeing exactly the same thing. Print money, and I actually, during the last campaign, I actually knew the amount that was being printed. I could tell you, but it's gone out of my mind now, but it's a lot of money that's being printed that's not being earned. And of course, that's hyperinflation. Our inflation rate now is the highest, I understand, is the highest it's been for over 20 years. And as Maxime Bernier said, that is a sneaky form of tax, because as prices go up and your HST is going up, and it's a sneaky form of tax. And they're coming after the equity in your house as well. If we don't stand firm and win this is a lot of disaster that's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, inheritances, life savings are being eroded, the free equity in your home. God knows what this government is capable of doing. They're evil.
Big time.
It is extreme left wing, bordering on, if not communism, is what it's all about.
100%.
And this, basically, this is the last chance that we got to save the country. If we fail now, then it all goes. It all goes. And I thought the last election was the last chance to turning things around. But I'm going to say this next one, which I believe will be this year, this is the last chance to learn. If the Canadian people don't get it right this year, now, then I think there's a lot of people that are going to be considering leaving Canada, because I could go back to the UK in a heartbeat. I've got my British passport, and I've got family there. I've got friends. I got a bolt hole. Canadians, you guys, you don't have a bolt hole. You've got to stay here and weather the storm. There's an awful lot of people that would bail out. And I'm not saying that if I don't win the election, I'm leaving. I've been working hard to build a business up here over 30 years. I'm not going to walk away from that. But what I am saying is that if it's all going to be taken away from me by a greedy, grasping government, what's the point in staying? I shall grab what assets I can and I shall disappear with them.
What about provincially, Victor? Just before you go, it looks to me like it's a mess on the Conservative side.
Yeah.
And like, what do you see happening there with all these new parties and everything going on?
Well, let me tell you a little bit about my own riding. We haven't had a Conservative MP in this riding for 93 years. What's happened in all that time is it's flip-flopped from NDP to Liberal and back again. And we've lost a lot of plants, we've lost a lot of manufacturing base, and so really it's done no good. I was amazed. When I first came to Canada, I was amazed to find out that the auto workers' unions were telling their members who to vote for. I never heard anything like that in the UK. I mean, I've actually been the guy that's put on a pair of filthy overalls and gone down and done a filthy job with a union card in my back pocket. So I've been that guy. And if our union told us who to vote for, we'd have just laughed at them, you know, because when you're in the privacy of that polling booth, you vote for whoever the hell you want to. I never heard of such a thing. And we've got teachers unions telling the teachers who to vote for. We've got auto workers telling the auto workers who to vote for. But I think now, for the very first time, these guys don't trust the unions and they don't trust the companies that they work for, and they're going to go their own way. And so therefore, I feel that this next election is going to be different in terms of the power that the unions got over influencing their membership in which direction they're going to vote. And that is a good thing, a very, very good thing indeed.
But provincially, right? We're seeing some PPC candidates running for the Ontario First Party.
Yeah.
Then you have the Ontario Party headed up by Derek Sloan in Ontario. You have the New Blue Party. The Conservative side is completely split up.
And the New Blue, yeah. And well, first of all, I think that the Conservative Party itself, as a provincial party, is probably washed up. It'll take them years to recover after Doug Ford. But there is still that thing where people vote Conservative because they did and their daddy did before them and their daddy did before them. But that's an education thing, and that's up to candidates like you and like me and like Liz to educate the public through whatever means that we can, because we've got to try something new. It's sad that we've got three alternatives to the Conservative Party, and I'm not coming out on any one of them's side. I like Derek Sloan. I've heard him speak. He came to Windsor, and I went to see him and hear him speak, and met his wife and his kids, and got a lot of time for Derek Sloan. And I like Jim and Belinda, especially with what Jim's been through. I got some quality stuff here. Let me show you this. Look at this quality stuff that's come in the mail. right? Now somebody's spending a lot of money. Look at that,
Yep.
right? Quality,
Yeah.
quality, glossy, right? Artwork. I wish I had every dollar back that I've spent on artwork, design, and print. For God's sake, look at this. Look at that. Look at that.
Gee.
Quality. I'm getting emails and updates from these people. I think purely in terms of contact and quality of message and quality of literature, I would say the New Blue have got it. I haven't seen anything from Randy Hillier. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I'm getting stuff from Derek Sloan. I'm getting stuff from Randy Hillier. As far as what's coming through my door and it's coming through my emails, Randy Hillier is not even in the running. What I don't want to happen is for those three parties to split the vote and let in the NDP get in, because people won't vote Conservative because of Doug Ford. I can see this is a wonderful chance for the NDP provincially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You
time.
agree with that, Brenden?
Yeah, no, I think it would be a horrendous idea. Andrea Horvath is basically a washed-up leader at this point. Like, her party has been so useless for the past 20 years, it's ridiculous. But if you're absolutely right about what, like, even stating publicly what you're gonna throw your money after, because you just don't know. Like, I don't know. I'm sitting here scratching my head, like three of the same parties, and then there's a PC Liberal and NDP. It's like, I don't like this at all. I can't even compute at this point what to do with it.
You know, and just out talking to people on the street, I know Randy Hillier is not perceived as being the leader that maybe Maxime Bernier thinks he is. A lot of people haven't got much time for him. But anyway, I'm not running, and I've been asked to run provincially for the New Blue Party. Yeah. And I'm not going to do it. I'm going to stick with federal. You know, I don't want to run. I don't want to be seen to be the guy that's trying to get a seat in a parliament somewhere.
Go big or go home anyway, right?
Yeah, my ambition is to unseat Eirik Kuzmiachik. and it will be, and when I do, if the election happens when I think it's going to happen, I'll be unseating him just prior to him doing his 6 years, which means he doesn't even get a pension out of it.
And Victor, again, before you go, I think this is something you might want to see.
Yeah.
One of our colleagues just sent a video to me.
Yeah.
Chris, who sometimes is on the show with us. This is a video of a woman who had OPP pay her a visit. I think it was today or early this evening, I think. And it's because of her activity on social media with regard to the freedom movement.
Ooh.
I'd like to run this. I haven't seen this video, so hopefully there's nothing in here that's going to get us in trouble. But so be it if that happens. It seems like this, to me, it seems like it's probably pretty important. Let me just cue this up. I'm going to run this, and I'll preface it with the woman's comments before we actually run this on the internet for folks.
So they're sending the
so go ahead,
to your house. They're sending the goons to your house now for what you post on social media.
So this is what this lady says, and her name is Nadine. And she says, "To say I'm furious is an understatement. This is not okay, ever. Tonight at 5:30 p.m. while I was making dinner, there was a knock at my door. We live on a farm in the country, so we don't get too many people knocking on our front door. My daughter thought it may have been a customer that needed something from our farm store. She opened the door, and there was a police officer there. I heard her speaking, so I came to the front door where the OPP officer asked me if I was Nadine, blah, blah, blah. Not knowing what this was about, I answered yes. She then proceeded to tell me that because of my activity on Facebook, and in particular within a group that supported the freedom movement to end mandates and in support of the Freedom Convoy, that she was at my home to give me literature about peaceful protest. I immediately asked her to wait a moment and went and got my phone. Then I started recording. What you see here is my video. In my video is not an OPP officer politely coming to my home to give me information about how to peacefully protest. She says this is a violation of my privacy in every way, intimidation tactics, and a huge waste of my tax dollars. It will not be tolerated, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that is what the lady said to just set this up. So let's watch this video. It seems like the freedom movement, the freedom protest, and the anti-freedom movement is now coming to people's front doors.
Sorry, since you're at my home, can I just get your name and your badge number, please?
I have a card here.
Okay.
It's Erica Ingram.
Thank you.
And this is just some information about peaceful protests. That's all it is.
Okay, so you saw something on my Facebook?
No, on the Facebook group.
Okay, and decided to come to my personal residence to give me information about peaceful protest?
Yes.
Okay, so are the Peterborough Police, no, you're with
We're
OPP? Are you guys now monitoring people's Facebook pages or Facebook groups to who comments as to what their status updates are or what they're doing or
So
within the group?
Just
Like,
because of the protests happening province-wide, yes, we have been monitoring the protests.
okay.
So there's a protest coming up. I'm simply providing you with information about a peaceful protest. And now I'm leaving.
Oh, okay.
That is all.
So the Ontario Provincial Police are watching what people are doing on Facebook in different groups, whether or not they're commenting, participating, liking, and you guys are now doing service calls to give people information about peaceful protest.
Yeah, it's just a proactive measure to make sure you understand your rights about peaceful protesting.
I have a copy of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, so I'm well within that and very understanding of that. I appreciate that. I'm hoping that you guys aren't going to waste our tax dollars continuing to do this to everybody, but now it's nice to know that we're being watched. So,
If you have any questions, my cell phone number is on the card.
thank you.
Okay.
Okay, can I just make a very, very first observation?
Yes.
When asked for her name and badge number, she never gave it, and I would not have even proceeded with the conversation without getting that. Right at the beginning, name and badge number, and like that, she sidestepped that and never gave it.
Does that concern anybody other than me?
That's me. I want to know if I've had, because she went on to say, "Are you whatever?" And say, "No, you answer my question first, right?" My question is, what's your name and badge number? We can't have this conversation unless I know who I'm talking to. And it said, "Well, I've got this literature here. Leave it in my mailbox and I'll get to it." Leave your literature in my mailbox. That's what my mailbox is for. You know, that cost me $29.99 at Home Hardware, right? And so if you've got something you want to leave me, mailbox will do. Thank you very much. Was there anything else you wanted to discuss? Like, I would deal with that so differently. You know? I'd deal with it as if it meant nothing to me. Really?
I mean, we know police monitor social media. Of course they do.
Yes.
So
not
they're
stupid.
looking for problems, right?
All that was an intimidation call.
Yeah.
Purely and simply, it's just intimidation.
And that little lady there, she had quite a bit of attitude, like that look on her face. How dare you question me? How dare
Oh yeah,
you?
well,
I'm coming to your house to bother you while you're making dinner. How dare you question me?
Yeah, that's right, and that's the way you should be.
Yeah.
Right? That's the way you should be. What are you doing here? What are you even doing? There are no burglars anymore. Where are they? Are they all on all on vacation?
Well, this shows how our government views the freedom movement. They really do seem to think that these people are terrorists or potential terrorists.
The government does, but you know what? That lady cop, she was polite, and I can almost certainly guarantee, as somebody that's been in uniform and carried a firearm, I can guarantee that lady cop did not want to do that duty. She found it distasteful, and it's not what she joined the police force for, to intimidate housewives while they're making dinner. And she would have gone back to the police station and she would have told her mates, this is disgusting, what I'm being asked to do. And that would have resonated through the whole state. And if there's, she's probably not the only one. And they've all gone back to their sergeants and they've said, I don't want to do this. This is not good. What we're being asked to do here is not what I joined up for.
What has the country come to?
Bullying. This is bullying and intimidating the public that we're supposed to be serving. And I'm not having it. You don't even ask me. When I come in for my shift tomorrow, don't even ask me to do this again, because I will refuse. I'll go sick. And I bet you that there are loads of them that have got that attitude. And that's a good, healthy attitude, because you know what? We're not a dictatorship.
I can't believe they keep calling people in the freedom movement Nazis, and then they do things that Nazis do.
It's all they've got. All they've got is to call you Nazis and racists. That's all they've got.
Well, they're the ones acting like Nazis. Like, that's Nazi behavior. I think Rick has something he needs to get off his chest there. He looks like he's gonna spew up his
you know what, man? I'm almost speechless, because that makes me sick to my stomach. I know police monitor social media. We all know they're doing that, and in a much deeper way than most people realize. Okay, they're into things and into your privacy in ways that you have no idea. But to do what just happened, it's in my view, a pretty serious breach of. It just goes over the line. It is intimidation. It is, in some ways, it is a violation of privacy. And it shows how the government is weaponizing the police service against its own people. We have these people who are fighting for freedom, fighting for the restoration of our Constitution and the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. That's what they're fighting for. That's not anti-Canadian. That's not terrorism. That's fighting for Canada. And yet we have our police service implementing a measure, taking a step like that in a proactive way to do what?
That cop, that little lady cop, though, she absolutely didn't want to be there doing that. I can tell.
Right,
no,
but she did go.
She had a look of disgust on her face at a couple of times when being asked questions.
Yeah, the whole thing is uncomfortable for everyone.
No, it was uncomfortable for her. That it weren't. If I didn't see disgust, that she was disgusted by being asked to justify the reason why she was there.
Yeah, she understood.
I saw that as an uncomfortable look.
Yes, I do. I feel bad for these cops who are put in these positions. I'm certain that many of them don't want to do what they're doing. Some of them do. But the majority, I think, are good people. And, but man, there's got to be a lot of soul searching going on right now. Like, it's just one more example of how the country has eroded. Our values have been eroded. The country, our politicians, our government has lost its moral compass. That's what this is. That's what this illustrates.
And this movement really, as a hidden agenda, or maybe as an unconscious agenda, is designed to help the government find its moral compass again.
That's very true. That's what it is. It's the people saying, get back on track, get back on the Canadian page.
Yeah.
And it seems to me that one of the reasons Justin Trudeau is hanging on so tight, and all of his followers, is because he seems to owe something to somebody other than the Canadian people. At least that's the sense I get. He is in league with forces from outside this country.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people think that. Yeah, and we don't even need to name the names of the forces. Yes. But we know who they are.
It's extremely unfortunate, but hey, the freedom fighters are still out there tonight. I thought the cops were going to move in yesterday, and it didn't happen in a big way. So they're all still holding the line in Ottawa, in Windsor, in Alberta, Manitoba, points in between, and even around the world tonight. And with people like Carla on the ground and people like you, Victor, on the front lines down there supporting the people, and all those truckers out there and all those farmers and all those people heading to Ottawa, I'll tell you, it's all spreading hope and patriotism across this great, great country. And I still feel optimistic tonight.
Yes.
Me too. And that's an optimistic note for me to say good night.
Yeah, we've tied up your time three questions ago, so we're sorry about that.
Thank you, Victor. You're awesome, man.
God bless you all, and hold the line and say hi to Liz for me.
Liz Valley, we sure will.
Yeah, did you see what I put there today? That I look forward to sitting next to her on the back benches in Ottawa.
Well, if you form the government, I don't think you'll be on the back bench.
No, when I saw Maxime in your place, Chatham, and I had a selfie taken with him. I said, Maxime, listen, there's something I want from you. He said, what's that? And I said, when we're in government, I want a cabinet post. I said, but I don't want any old cabinet post. He said, which one do you want, Victor? I said, I'm ex-military. I want Ministry of Defence. He said, you got it.
Beautiful.
Look forward to that. So I like, and that would be the height of my ambition. In Parliament, right? It's first of all to get elected. Secondly, if I get a cabinet, if I'm offered a cabinet position, I don't want any other one other than Ministry of Defence. I'm quite happy to stay on the back benches. If I can't have Ministry of Defence, I don't want any of them. And then like one term, and then I think I'd bow out gracefully, right? And
one battle at a time.
Yeah,
and you're right now. You're
the Freedom Convoy to get freedom back.
That's right, and your place is down on the front lines there at the Ambassador Bridge.
Okay then, guys. Right, I'm out of here. What button do I press to get out of here then?
I'll take you out. Thank you so much, Victor.
Okay.
Have a great night, sir.
Take care.
Good night. Hold the line.
And that was Victor Green, Windsor-Tecumseh PPC candidate and freedom fighter in between elections. Been down there at the border, checking things out, letting us know what's going on at the Ambassador Bridge with that blockade at the Windsor-Detroit border.
And there we have it, folks. We have the situations down at the Ambassador Bridge border, blocking millions of dollars, billions of dollars possibly in trade. We have action still going on in Ottawa. We have action on the 402 highway with the farmers are blocking the road. We have action at the Coutts-Alberta border still. We got action at the Manitoba-United States border. Things continue to escalate day by day. Rick Walker and my predictions have gone down the tube, so now the future is up for grabs, and the goons are up to new tricks by delivering peaceful protest material to your home, which is absolutely disturbing. But it's been a pleasure delivering this broadcast to you this evening. Make sure to like and subscribe and hit the bell. My name is Brenden Kennedy with the Flow of Discourse podcast. It's been a pleasure running this cast with you tonight.
And I'm Rick Walker with Maverick News and Maverick Multimedia. We will be back tomorrow, 6 p.m., same bat time, same bat station, with more coverage of Freedom Convoy 2022 cruising to the Capitol, except now the convoy's gone nation and worldwide. So tune back in tomorrow night, folks, because we'll have lots more to share with you. And, we're going to be watching that border. As the city municipality of Windsor goes to court tomorrow to get an injunction against that. We'll see if the cops move in on those protesters in Ottawa, and we're going to keep an eye on those other hot spots and battlefronts across the nation. So, again, thank you to all of the Canadians watching tonight and to people around the world we really appreciate you tuning in. And as Brenden said, please like, share, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. And we will catch you all tomorrow night on the flip side.